Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the What's on Your Mind podcast. So, I don't know if you were familiar, but when I first did an interview, you were my first guest. It was Tell Me What's on Your Mind, episode 1, featuring Jada Vasser. So, welcome back to the show.
Period.
Really appreciative to have you back on, especially for this new season. And you're also going to be the first interview for my second season. So,
Period.
as you should.
As I should be, okay?
Again, I appreciate you for being back here. And real quick, bro, off camera, before we started recording, promise we was just rolling, like, I was on the floor laughing, bro. Like I told her, we got like just a 30-minute segment of just laughter.
No.
But no, how you feeling?
I feel good, man. Did some homework today, so kind of tired, but I'm good.
Definitely understand. I'm a bit tired too. You know, I kind of took a me day today. Like, I did not go to either of my classes. I just went to work.
You know, sometimes you need to do that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the segment of going to class every day, I feel like that's a lie. I feel like nobody goes to class every day, and if you do, and you're like that one person, I'll think like, I've never missed a class. You good? Like,
No.
Did you go because you wanted to, or
Those probably are doctors though. So
right? Hey, props to y'all. For me personally, I'm gonna miss a day.
like when you determine, PhD or mental health or somewhat good mental health, depends on your morals.
I'm gonna miss a day.
Depends on what you want.
I'm gonna get the degree. I'm gonna miss a day.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss a few days. I'm gonna miss a few weeks. I'm gonna get the degree somehow.
Get the degree. It's gonna be in my head. Trust.
Speaking of mental health, we can kind of go right into this where we're talking about off camera. I don't know if you feel old yet. I already felt old once I started seeing people that like little cousins in high school and juniors going to prom. But somebody turns 20 next month.
Oh. That would be me.
So you old, first off.
Bro.
You and Janae.
Bro, right. Shout out Janae. Yeah,
Matter of fact, before you go into that, can we announce that you're a twin? Like, people just don't know that y'all are twins, bro.
People don't. Okay, let's talk about it. Because I didn't know that many people at the State News just did not know. One, that I had a sister, but two, that I was a twin. I feel like it was the first thing I told people. Like, hey, my name is Jada. I got a twin. You want to see her? Like, I feel like that was my introduction. But walking in, they were like, you have a sister? I'm like, yeah, I have a sister.
First of all, you got two. You got like, don't you got three?
Yes, three sisters. So it's like, how did y'all not know this? Especially Janae. Like, I talk about her. When I say sister, I'm talking about Janae. So I was walking in like, dang, my bad, Janae. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
Like, that was, I'm like, yeah, this is my, because for obviously people who don't work at the State News, listen to this. My girlfriend, Janae, her twin sister, we showed her The Office for the first time. And then I was introducing her to people like, hey, this is my girlfriend, Janae, who also just happens to be Jada's twin sister. They're like, they just made, y'all can't see the face now, but they're like, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Y'all look alike a little bit. And I'm like, I never told y'all I had a twin sister. They're like, no. I was like, did I tell y'all and y'all forgot? Or did I just never told you? Like, of course, like my closer friends that I talk to every day, they're new. And they're like, oh, hey, Janae. But everybody else was like, you have a sister? Like, you have siblings? I'm like, yeah, I got a bunch of siblings.
Like, that is crazy. But no, y'all both turned 20, and specifically you turned 20, and we were having a discussion on just how you feel exiting your teenage years. Because for me, I'm going to have my own mental, I don't even know what to call it, breakdown or just realization on my birthday the following month. But just, you were going into how you feel, and just with exiting your teenage years and starting this new chapter of your life, how do you feel you're going to tackle it? Like, what are your expectations, and just what are your overall feelings about it in general?
First of all, shout out to everybody born on the 14th for every month. Shout out to May 14th. Shout out to Janae, April 14th. Shout out to my older sister, Marissa, March 14th.
Okay.
The 14th, it's just that day. It's that guy. You know what I mean? But
and girl and non-gender conforming.
It's whatever you
You're not about to get me canceled, bro.
Come on. That nigga, all right?
All right, bro. All right.
I'm sorry. My bad. I'm sorry. I got a little excited. I'm sorry. But what was the question, bro?
You'd have forgot the whole question after that. Just exiting your teenage years.
Right. Okay,
yeah.
I'm on the wrong train now. My bad. All right.
Dog.
As you can tell, I'm very excited. I'm excited to enter a new phase of my life. I feel like 19 has given me a lot of beautiful things that I can't wait to explore deeper when I get into my 20s and when I get into my real stages of being an adult, real stage of living on my own, real stages of making important decisions I'd already started making that'll shape the future that I'll have when I become 20 and into my 20s when I graduate college. So I'm very excited to see everything that I'll be doing and continuing to do. And I am very happy to say goodbye to my teenage years. They are years that were hard, and I cannot 100% say that I'll miss them. I'll miss some moments in them, because I won't say that all of my teenage years were bad. I had a lot of good moments in my teenage years. There was a lot of happy times with the friends I had in high school and coming to college. We had some great memories. But going into 20, I want to continue to be in the best version that I can and continue to seek the happiness that I'm just now finding while being 19. Happiness I didn't have when I was 14. A mindset that I couldn't see imaginable when I was even 16. So I'm very, very blessed to make it to 19, and I'm very blessed to be making it to 20, because there was a day in my life that I didn't think I would see this, and my judgment was too cloudy to ever see a time that I'd be happy to be alive, and I'd be happy to continue to age and to grow and to become myself. And I can't wait to see who she is and who she is out in the real world, because it's going to be a force. Let me tell y'all, out in this world, I have big plans that I want to do with my life, and I'm not stopping until I do them. But I'm very blessed to be able to be in a mind space where I can say that. Because when I was younger, I would give you the... Like, it was really... I couldn't give you any substance as to what I wanted to do. It was overcome with, well, if I make it to that, then I'd want to do this. Now I'm saying, I'm going to do this, and you're going to have to watch out. Because when I do this, I'm coming with X, Y, and Z. So I'm very, very excited to make it to 20. I can't wait.
Definitely understandable. And you also... off camera, when we were talking, you referenced the conversation you had with your mom about this. Just could you go into more detail about that conversation, and also just why specifically would you not miss your teenage years?
Yeah, shout out to you, Ma. I know she do watch some of your episodes, and she commented on them, so she's definitely a big supporter of this podcast. So watch out. Hey, Ma, if you're listening. And I will say, it's not just my mom who kind of brings the conversation. I feel like it's people around her age or old, like the old people in your family. When I bring up the conversation of, oh my God, I can't wait to be 20. It's, slow down, enjoy your teenage years, enjoy the young years that you have. Because when you get to our age, you're not going to know what to do. You're going to be like, dang, I wish I could go back to those years. And I didn't really get too deep into the conversation, because I guess it wasn't the right space to really say all of this right here. And it wasn't the right space to just be like, well, I don't really necessarily want to miss them because X, Y, and Z. So I was like, you know what? Okay, Ma, we'll move on to something else. But tailoring into that conversation, I won't miss my teenage years because they were really sad, especially my early teens, like 13, 14, and 15. They were moments where the sadness outshined the happiness. And like I said, I had a lot of beautiful moments and happy times in my teenage years, a lot of life-changing moments, but the accounts to where my depression hit the hardest and I realized what truly anxiety was and how hard it could hit a person was very, very, it was one of the hardest things I ever had to come through. And I can't say I'll miss it because you couldn't pay me to go back to those times. And most of them happened while I was in high school. So you're a freshman, you'd be like 14, 15, then I graduated when I was 18. So that whole chunk of time, it was just really sad. Even with everything that I went through and all the accomplishments I got in school, all the friends that I had, and all the people I talked to, and everybody had me at such high standards of how they saw me, I was just sad. And I was going through a lot personally that sometimes it just overtook me as a person. And there were moments where I felt like I just wasn't me. If I felt like a person just living. But I wasn't living for me. I was living for the thought of others, which if you ever feel yourself living for someone else, then you're not living. Because now you have no reason to live. Like, you can't find any reason to wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to be the best person I can because I want to do this. I couldn't find any reason for that, any strong reason. Like, yes, of course, I love my family dearly. And yes, I love the friends that I had there dearly. And yes, I love getting an education. And I love shaping my future to do what I want to do. But when you get in those spaces where it's just you and your head, none of those things could pull me out of what I was thinking or what I was thinking to do. And it's some of the scariest times I've ever been in. So I I can't say I'll miss my teenage years right now. Maybe when I get older and I completely heal. Because I can't even say that I'm all the way healed from them, too. There's a lot of triggers that I still have from my teenage years that kind of bring me back into those spaces. Not 100%, but kind of almost into those spaces. So I can't really say that I'll miss my teenage years. Maybe when I fully heal, I'll say, you know what? I would go back maybe for a day. But, like, right now, you couldn't pay me. Like, high school, you couldn't pay me to go back to high school. No amount of money you could put me to go back to that place. Like, no.
And that is, one, definitely understandable. But like we were saying off camera when we were talking about this, it's so insane to think about how young we were and how young we are and these emotions that we have. Like, I was referencing to you a conversation I've had with older individuals, a part of my family, who have said, like, the classic, like, why are you so upset? You're so young. And youngness has always been contributed to happiness for some reason. When even the older individuals and older generation, when they would repeat the things that they've had gone through, like, yeah, you know, they do a refrigerator at me when I was younger, but look at me now. Like, I mean, it's good that we always can persevere through these things, but, like, it's genuine trauma. And whether it was trauma in the 80s or trauma in the early 2010s, it still happened, and it still can impact someone for a very long time. And just the fact that most older generations be like, yeah, I miss when I was a teenager, and we're the complete opposite. Like, nah, I'm not really looking forward to reminiscing on when I was getting bullied in high school, or when I was getting bullied in middle school and it impacted me for high school, or when I felt uncomfortable being in school in general, or when it was an escape. It was just all those things that you can think about. It's like, yeah, there were good moments, but do they really compare to, like you said, the bad moments? And I have a question that I typed down while you were talking, but I don't know which one to ask first. Well, matter of fact, I'll just ask what I wrote down. If you had a time machine and you could go back to...
I wish I had a time machine.
Shout out Mooney Long, bro.
My bad.
I told Jay she need to get in the studio. That's another conversation, but can't get her in the studio for nothing, bro. But if you had a time machine to go back to your younger self, let's say like 14, 15, what would you say to your younger self? Woo! And why would you say those things that you said?
Oh, gosh. If I could go back to like 14, 15-year-old me, little tall self-year-old me, I just say it's okay to be by yourself. I feel like when I was in high school, a lot of the things I went through was because I became dependent on other people because I didn't like myself. And I didn't like being by myself. Because I just genuinely didn't like who I was. Not to say I was a bad person, but like I said, when you go through things like mental health, you get into these spaces to where you genuinely just do not like yourself. And sometimes there's nothing someone can say to make you like yourself. You just don't. So it took me finding people that I probably shouldn't have leaned so heavily on, and I won't say I regret it, but if I could go back and change anything, that would definitely be one of the few things I changed. I would change how dependent I became on other people. Because I became so dependent that it became unhealthy for them and for me. But at the time, I didn't know how unhealthy it would be. Till fast forward, I grow up some more and we start being friends. And I'm like, damn, like, we're just like, it's just not what it used to be. So I definitely go back to her and I tell her, it's okay to be by yourself. You are your biggest enemy right now, but you're also going to be your biggest fan. Like, you just have to wait. And waiting is not my strong suit. Like, I'm very patient at the base level, but if things just take a little too long, the impatientness just comes out of me. But I have to definitely go back to her and just be like, wait, your turn is coming. It may not happen when these people are having it, and quite frankly, it doesn't need to happen right now because you're not ready for it. If I got all the stuff I'm dealing with now, then I couldn't handle it. I can't say I handle it 100% now, but I handle it better than younger me ever could. So I definitely tell her that it's okay to be alone. If you're that one person sitting by yourself in school at lunch, that's okay. That doesn't make you weird. That doesn't make you an outcast. High school cliques and groups don't last. They're fake. They don't mean anything. And I feel like, to tailor back to what you said about being young, I feel like older people don't take into account that when you're young and when you're like becoming a teenager, the big problems like being bullied in school is all you can see because it's all you know. So of course we don't pay bills. Of course we don't own houses. So that's what, okay, you can classify them as adult problems. That's all adults can see. Adults can multitask all the things that they have to do because they're adults. But when you're young and you get influenced into bullying specifically, it's all that encompasses you. It's all you can see. So we can't handle anything else because this one major issue is all that we can see. So when you get put into those spaces, of course we wouldn't want to go back because we couldn't handle anything else because it's all we went through. So I definitely say that as far as that point. But yeah, I definitely tell younger me to learn to be by yourself, because by being by yourself is okay. It's okay to be alone. I love being alone now. Even with all the good people that I have, all the family, it's nothing like being by yourself, really. And it helps you learn yourself, and it helps you learn to love yourself. So it's okay to be alone. It's okay.
You always, whether it's all shades of chocolate or being a guest on here, you always end up preaching, bro. Like, whether it's something in the studio or I'm
pleased with the studio.
I'm joking. I'm joking, but as serious as I can be. Like you've said before that you don't feel you're well spoken. Like you're extremely well spoken, and the fact like you don't stutter, you don't trip over your words, and you have a concise thought or a clean thought throughout the whole thing, and then the message behind everything you say is very impactful. So go keep telling you you're a very good speaker, and again, get in the studio or like do something else.
Maybe one day. Right?
Always use your voice for good. Is every time I joke about you doing something with your voice, just continue to do what you do. And you mentioned earlier about just that change and some of the things you would change if you had the opportunity. And I just want to ask, if you had the choice, would you rather go back and change some of the things that happened during your teenage years, or would you keep them since they led to you being who you are now? Would you value what you could have, the mistakes you could have corrected to heal the trauma, or would you value keeping the trauma and healing from it and adapting to who you want to be when you get older?
I definitely feel like I wouldn't change, and I feel like this is the cliche answer. But I feel like the cliche answers are the good answers. It's the answers that people need to hear. I wouldn't change anything because I wouldn't have anything to talk about now as far as the stories that I've written and as far as the things that I want to do in my career. I feel like if I went back and I tweaked changes that I made, the results that I have now wouldn't be as strong. And I wouldn't love what I do as much because I changed so much stuff in the past. Like, I feel like I wouldn't have met you, for example, or I feel like I would have met people in different scenarios that would have led to different results that wouldn't have been good for me now. Like, yes, I went through a lot then, but the me now is stronger because of what I went through. I wouldn't want to go through what I did now because I'm in college and I'm older and it adds layers to it. Thankfully, I was a little younger. So a lot of the stuff I'm doing now, I didn't have to juggle it all. Even though I felt like I didn't. Now I would have been juggling it all. And right now, no. I'm very happy at the way I am now. So I definitely wouldn't change a thing. I like the way things played out. Thank the Lord that they played out the way that He told me they would. And I always prayed that they would. And I'm finally at a point now where I am trying to always surround myself with positive people, good intentioned people, prayerful people, being introduced to people that'll be in my life for a long time. Getting closer bonds with all of my siblings, my family, being in positive places to uplift them. And I always I don't never take for granted helping the older people in my family when they come to me with problems or they say, oh, Jada, you're grown now. What would you do in this situation? Like, I don't take those instances for granted. Because one, you think I'm a wise person. Thank you. And two, you trust me enough to give me an issue without saying you're too young to understand. You know what I mean? Which I hate. I'm not too young to understand. Young people go through a lot. Just because I'm 19 and you 45 don't mean I don't understand what you're going through, bro. We got the same brain. You just been on this earth longer than I have. So if you're trying to hinder me from making the same mistakes, don't say it like that. That's like undermining me. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Because I got the same... I could have the same experiences you went through, and I could help you better your life. Even at 45, your life's not over. Just ask me. So I never take that. I never take that for granted. I never take my friends coming to me for granted. I know you come to me all the time, and I never take helping and encouraging you for granted because it's what I like to do. I like seeing people happy. It makes me happy. I like helping people and learning that the things that I say have meaning and they can hit into people, which is why I write the way that I write, because I know even if I can't say it to you, if you read it and still feel the same, then I did my job. So yeah.
And that's very important. And one, I can want to say thank you for just being the person you are. Not even just for me, just seeing how you interact with others. And like you've even joked like how like you make sure like all of your friends are eating properly and just making sure that you can supply whatever you can for the people in your life. And I was just actually recently telling Imani, who is a friend, hopefully we'll also have on the podcast when we get time, but I was just telling her earlier about you and Janae, and specifically talking about you just...
About me?
Yeah, it's about you, how similar we are, and just... I've never met someone who was so similar to me to the point where I can feel like they're a sibling. And besides my own sibling, I've even told my own sibling, Dejanay, my older sister, like telling her that she's genuinely like a sister to me. Like, especially my mom too. She's even, we were talking about it, and just being able to have you in my life, and with the ways that you've helped me look at myself and view myself and just have a better mindset looking at a lot of things, and just being the person you are. I want to thank you for that. And just the impact you have on others, it's important, and you make a huge impact on just how people see you and then how they interact with you and then how they go on their own lives. Like a piece of you always go with somebody. So don't ever don't ever misunderstand that or forget that. And you were talking about just the experiences you've been through in general. And I want to ask, I was thinking about this when you were talking. You've had people in your life to where the experiences didn't always go as planned, or just they didn't treat you the best. And with going into your 20s, how have you understood and thought about forgiveness? Just letting certain things go and even confronting certain things that may have been on your heart through these years. How have you handled it? How have you managed understanding what forgiveness truly is and what you've been able to let go to grow more as you enter your 20s?
Yeah, I definitely feel like it took time for me to, I guess, truly understand what forgiveness is and what all forgiveness entails. Because I'm not a person to hold a grudge. I feel like holding grudges, it takes more of your energy than theirs. Because say 10 years down the line, you got into it with somebody and you like, oh, I'll never forget what you did to me. But they're over there living their best and they're like, who are you again? Like, it's not worth the energy to hold a grudge over things. And it took me a while to learn that forgiving people is just sometimes the easier option, honestly. That doesn't mean I'll forget what you did. And that doesn't mean that you can just always push over me, because I always remember. And I feel like the things I went through, they helped me learn to what I will and won't accept in certain situations. Like the friendships that I have had that I don't have anymore. Now coming into college, it helped me learn what I will and will not tolerate with people. Because now you can ask Anthony, you can ask anybody I work with, you can ask my friends, that I am not somebody that you could shove and just say, oh, we're going to do this regardless. I'm going to say, no, we're not. We're not doing that today. That's not the type of party we're attending. You know, but I didn't have that voice before. And it took me learning that I needed to have this to do what I needed to do, especially being a black woman in the field that I want to go in. I can't go into this world without having some depth in my voice. I always joke about how deep my voice is, but sometimes it gets me the things that I need. So I'm like, maybe I need to start looking at this as a positive thing, because I'm getting the things that I want. Because like everybody obviously say, that I need to start looking at myself more like this, that I can speak very well and I articulate what I want, because at some point I couldn't, and I didn't get the things that I want because I didn't tell them. And then I always comes from, why didn't you just say something? Because I couldn't. Now that I can, I'm using it to my best ability. And that also comes with using it to forgiving people. People have done me dirty, and I mean dirty. Just like people have done almost anybody in this world. Almost everybody has been done dirty. And, I've been done dirty myself quite a few times that I shouldn't have allowed, but I did because I was vulnerable. And I felt like I could be vulnerable with those group of people, and I couldn't. So they did me wrong, and I was like, a year or two later, I was like, is it really worth still being mad at these people for? Because thinking about them brought me so much anger. Like, every time I thought about their name, I was angry. But I was like, I'm making myself upset over things that happened to me 2 years ago. And if I went to them, they probably wouldn't even remember who I was. So is it really worth it anymore? And it really took me just breaking down what happened and just, staying true to myself and saying, I forgive you, because I feel like forgiving someone is one of the strongest things a person can do, especially the person that has been hurt can do. It's just forgiving the other party. Not saying we'll go back to how things were, and not saying we're going to act like it never happened, but just forgiving them for you. Forgiving them is saying, we're going to go forward with this. I'm moving. This is beyond us. We're moving past this. Good day, sir. You know, like forgiving and doing things like that. So now in college, like I said, going through those experiences, I know what I will and won't tolerate, and I won't like change my viewpoints for anybody, and I won't come to a consensus with, oh, yeah, I'll knock this off my list. No, it's either this way or I'm just not in it no more, or I'm just not going to deal with you anymore. And yeah, that may suck and that may come with some feelings, but at the end of the day, if it came to that point, I didn't need you anyway. If I ever had to come to a point where I'm like, you could go, or this didn't need to happen, you could see yourself out the door, then I didn't need you in my life anyway. So, yeah.
How do you view the phrase? So I've started to use this phrase, and I've heard this phrase from others, but when people enter your life, some people are a lesson and some people are a blessing. Do you always feel even those negatives can be looked at as blessings to mold the person you are?
Yes. Yes. I actually kind of love that saying, and I also love the saying that I learned. It was during service at my church when I was part of the youth program before I graduated. It was a service where the youth pastor was up there, and she was telling us about how some people come into your life and they're there for 3 different reasons. So you meet some people who will be in your life forever. They're like your lifelong people, or you meet like the one, like you're the one that you're gonna marry. That's your lifelong person. Then you get some friends that are there for years. They're not there for a life, but they're there for years. They're there to get you through the hard times that they experience with you, to push you to meeting those lifelong people. And then you meet people that are there for only one season. And you can't understand why they're there for a season, because they felt like they could be there for a long time. But that one season happened, and then something ugly happens and you stop being friends with them. So I definitely agree with both of those. And I definitely agree that some people are blessings and lessons, because the people that I've dealt with, they definitely, like I said, they definitely taught me about what I will and won't tolerate, that I probably wouldn't have learned had I not dealt with those people and had I not went through what I did, because it took me being upset, and it took me crying, and it took me asking, why did it happen to me? Because I'm such a good person. You know, people always tell me I'm such a good friend. I'm such a good person. I couldn't understand why people would turn on me, and I couldn't understand why people would victimize me as the bad guy and label me as the bad guy. And even in that sense, I had to take it with like, okay, I'm just about to be the bad guy, you know. But I couldn't fathom the idea of why I was such the issue, you know. And it took me like talking to my mom through the whole situation. I'm sure she remembers, and she's just like, well, Jada, some people aren't meant to be in your life forever. And I hated that when she said it, because I'm like, you're so right. Like, some people are not meant to stay with you forever, because that's not their place. And then you're going to meet those people that are supposed to be with you forever, because they're supposed to. They're going to fall into their position of your life to stay with you forever. And it was really hard to learn that those people in high school that I met weren't, not all of them, some of them that I really went through it with, weren't meant to be in my life forever. Because in high school, you're like, oh yeah, we're going to go to college. And even if we go to 2 separate colleges, we're going to stay in contact. We're going to meet all the time over the summer. Every break, we're going to see each other, this and this and that. So planning that and then hitting that point where we stopped being friends, it was like, well, what happened to everything we were just talking about? And granted, this happened over COVID, so nothing was in person. So doing it all over the phone, it was just messed up, and mixed signals were everywhere. So it was like, okay, we're just done. But it's something I couldn't get over, because it's like, I thought it was going to be you and me like this forever. Even in a friendship sense, I thought we were going to get to the point where we were going to be like family, and that never happened. But doing that, it's led me to being friends with people that I now consider my family, being at college. But had I still had those people on me, I wouldn't have no room for, let's say, you. I wouldn't have no room for people like Shakira and the people I met at the State News, Samaya, Claire L., all of those people. I would have had no room for you guys, because I was still carrying on the baggage that these people gave me. Because I couldn't understand why they shouldn't have been in my life forever. Because at that time, they were my forever people. Let alone letting them go led me to my forever people. So, yes, I definitely agree with that quote in there.
What would you say to the people who have been here or in your life for a long time? Because I know, obviously, a couple of friends that I've met that you have been friends with since high school, they're going to obviously be with us when we celebrate you and Janae's birthday. And what would you say to them? What would you say to the individuals that have seen you grow for the past 6 years?
Oh, God. What I can say, y'all. Thank you for dealing with my shenanigans. Thank you for going through every tribulation, every swing, every just thank you. Like, I couldn't thank some of those people enough that the friends that I still have from high school that are still there. I couldn't just thank them for knowing who I was and knowing that I always will stay true to myself, and them knowing actually the true me. Because honestly, going through that moment with those other individuals, it kind of felt like everybody was against me. So I was like, okay, be prepared for when you come out of this. None of these people are going to be your friends no more. You're going to actually be alone. Coming out of it, I still had those same people with me, and it was like, you believe me? Like, you're not going with them? Because most of the time, everybody goes with the other party. So I'm like, okay. But they didn't. They stayed with me. They're like, no, we know you. That's not, the picture that they're painting of you is not you. We know the real you. We're never going to switch up on you. And I was like, oh, thank you. Even coming to college, all of us go to separate colleges. One of my best friends, Josh, if you ever listen to these, what's up, bro? He goes to college all the way to Oklahoma. But every time he texts us, like we never left each other, you know? So I thank him, I thank Jasmine, I thank Megan, I thank those three very deeply because they never left me. And it never, every time we see each other, it feels like we never left. I'm going to throw Sam in there, even though he ain't come to my high school. What's good with you, Sam? Yeah, I'm going to throw you in there. Every time we see you, it's good vibes. And yeah, I just want to say thank you to all of them, because had it not been for them, I wouldn't have had the true support system that I needed to get through. And yeah, they were part of the friend group that all of us were in with other individuals. And yeah, of course, sometimes they were blindsided by a lot of stuff, but I couldn't thank them enough, because after everything that happened, I wasn't alone. You know, I still had the support. We were all there for each other. We hung out with each other, and it was all smiles. It was like we never even knew the people in the first place. It was all good. So yeah, I just say thank you. Y'all the real ones, bro.
One of the last things I want to ask you about this topic, what advice would you give to someone who feels alone? Even when they may not be literally alone, that headspace, as someone who's also been through that feeling of feeling alone when you're surrounded by people is one of the most lonely things you can get through. So what type of advice would you give someone who has that similar feeling and don't know what to do?
The biggest advice, honestly, that I could give somebody going through that is, because I definitely agree, being surrounded by bunches and bunches of people that support you, but still feeling that heart-wrenching feeling of being completely alone is one of the things I never wish upon anybody. Even if I never like to say the word hate, because I don't hate anybody. It's very strong. Even if I strongly dislike you, I never wish that feeling on anybody in this world. The biggest advice that I know got me through it is prayer. It's the only thing that I could recognize that helped me move forward, because no humanly body could help me. No human on this earth, not even my own mother, could help me. And I knew that's when it was serious. I was like, let's try this prayer thing out one more time. So I'm gonna be honest with you, when I was younger, wasn't that strong in it. You know, I feel like I knew who God was, and I feel like I, sat up here and said, yeah, I believe in God, but I did it more so for the family thing, not to be that child to be like, she doesn't believe in the Lord, because in this house, we will serve the Lord, okay? Now I understand what that phrase means, and now I know why the parents said that and what they meant by it, because I know what it comes with. So I definitely say, if you are religious, pray. Because he is the only person that'll hear everything that you're trying to say, even when you're sitting there crying and you can't form the words that you want to. He's the only person that'll clearly get what you want and give it to you when the time is right. Now, as far as someone who's not as religious, I'll definitely say, when you're in those spaces and you're hearing that one voice that's in your head, tuning them out, I want to say, isn't the best possibility, but just try to combat them with the things that you know aren't true. So now with people with anxiety, I have anxiety. So sometimes when I get in those spaces, the voice is telling me, you don't deserve all these things, you're not worth all these things. How are you going to balance doing this, that, and that? You aren't at the place in your life to contribute to these things. Where I'm like, well, let's look at it this way. Even if I'm not physically at the stage where I'm supposed to be, or when people look at me, they expect someone to be a lot older. I take that as a blessing. I take that as a praise, because yes, I'm only 19, but I've done things that people wouldn't do until they're 25. But yet I'm only 19. So that means I have so much more to do. So I combat that anxiety with saying, well, I've already done it. So you can't tell me I don't deserve it because I did it already. Tell me something different. It's in my portfolio now. So I definitely say, learn who you are in those dark moments. And it's hard to learn who you are when there's someone, even if it's yourself, telling you don't know who you are. It takes a lot of strength and it takes a lot of courage. And it won't happen on the first time you try it. It might not happen on the 5th. But one time you're going to hit a breakthrough where you learn exactly who you are. And you learn exactly who you want to be in those moments. And it's going to be one of the best things you ever learned for yourself. And it's honestly something you can only learn for yourself. Nobody can tell you. Because going through those moments, there's not a thing someone could tell you to make you okay. And yeah.
One of the main things I've told my parents and just people who have asked is I would not be able to get through college without God and without praying and without staying prayerful, because like you mentioned, there's nobody on this earth that can get you out of your own head except either yourself or God. And even when you get yourself out of your own head, it's the work of the Lord. And just continuing to pray and continuing to understand that no matter what I'm going through, it's in God's hands and God is going to make sure I'm okay. Having that understanding can get you through anything. And you mentioned religion. I want to segue into a religious conversation. I wanted your thoughts on. I was watching a YouTuber. It's a YouTuber I watch every day. It's one of my favorite YouTubers and favorite artists. He also makes music. And he was reacting to not a religious song, but it was talking about God. And it was very evident when he was speaking that he was church hurt, because he was saying that he's not a religious person because religion in his eyes kind of seems hypocritical. Like, how can you believe in someone and yet these bad things still happen? People still die. And he was also speaking on how his mother is very religious, and he's kind of battled with the fact that his mom is religious, and when she prays for him, it usually works out. But when he usually prays, sometimes it may not get the same result, or he would look in the world and see things, people dying or things happening. And he made it was pretty extreme example. He was talking about Kobe Bryant, and obviously Kobe Bryant's passed away. And then he said that, if you believe in this certain religious thing and you have the good parts of religion, or you have the things that God do that are positive, how can you then reverse it and not talk about the negative? And he said, like, well, if God is all powerful, then he killed Kobe. And that's the statement he had said. And I would ask you, because I have my own personal answer, because I've asked the same questions he's asked, not in that same extreme, but I've asked the same questions that he asked, like to my dad or to religious people, and they've gave me an answer that I've became comfortable with. What would you say? How would you speak to someone who's church hurt? And if they wanted to listen, because most of the time this conversation doesn't happen because they don't want to listen. And in some aspects, I can even understand that, because they don't want to go back to that place of being church hurt. But if someone who is church hurt and they listen, or just religion hurt in general, if they were to listen, how would you speak to them? And what would you say about the God that you serve and the God that has gotten you through the things that he's helped to get you through?
If I were to, like you said, most people who are church hurt, they don't give it another option or opportunity because they expect to be hurt again. But if I was to talk to someone who was willing to speak, I'd definitely say you have to take the hurt away, and you have to be willing and 100% open enough to try it again. And I definitely say take the church out of it, because a lot of the times with churches, especially in this era, they're not preaching the word of God, honestly. And maybe you went to one and, you just weren't feeling it. And sometimes you can feel it in your spirit. And that's the Lord saying, they're not talking from me. They're talking from themselves. Because a lot of times, and honestly, churches get a bad rap for only in it for the money. And that's very true for a lot of churches. And it sucks for the people that get sucked into churches, because that's all they can see. And a lot of people only associate church with God. God doesn't have to only talk to you in a church. God could talk to you in your bathroom mirror when you washing your face, and you like, oh, what's good with you? I'm getting ready for work, but you got something you need to tell me. Like God doesn't speak. God doesn't solely speak to people in church. Church is just a building. We don't praise the church. We praise God. When we go into church, we go there to surround ourselves with like-minded individuals. We don't go there to praise the foundation of the church, because the foundation of the church didn't give us what we got. The pastor didn't give us what we got. God did. But we go there to surround ourselves with people and to praise him together like he wants us to. But most people in church don't do that, and people getting into religion, and I don't really like to use religion because it comes with a lot of stipulations. I like to use the word relationship. And honestly, it just varies from person to person. You really have to want to seek God for yourself. And sometimes it takes doing that outside of the church. It takes picking up a Bible or searching up a really good sermon on even YouTube. We're in the era of technology. If you wanted to, you would have never had to go back to a church in your life. Because you could go on YouTube and search up church sermon, what's today, March 20th, 2023. And you get a plethora of videos from different churches that pop up. And maybe you have to look through a few, but you'd find the one that sits with you and you follow it and you just do it online. And you never have to go inside a physical building ever again and be surrounded with people. You just solely listen to the word and have it like sit with you in your heart, and you take your notes and you pray, and you do that by yourself. And sometimes it takes doing that versus going into a building where you feel like you're being judged, which you shouldn't have to do. People shouldn't have to walk in the church and feel like they're being judged, because then what's the point of a church? That's not the point. That's not the reason it was built, and that's not the reason it was intended for. And to tie onto your statement about how you say, well, if you serve this high and mighty God, why do people die? It's because I love this conversation, but like it's always hard to start into it. But I guess I'm going to start it like this. The world we live in was designed because we made it the way that we did, because God gave us the choice to do it. When he sat there and he said, and this is not the correct version the way the Bible said, I'm giving you the 2023 Gen Z version. When God sat there and said, look, do what you can make your choices now. All right. I'm going to still be here. I'm going to be your number one fan. I'm going to be your support system, but make your choices. We as humanity said, all right, bro, let's do this. And this is where we are. This wasn't for the intention of God. God said, I'm going to show you why I did things the way that I did. But now since you wanted to make your own decisions and be like me, so do it. Be like me. And it led us to where we are now. But that's not to say that God makes people die. We all have our designated time on earth. Everybody's going to die. Nobody knows how or when they're going to die. The Kobe Bryant example. He didn't know when he was going to die, nor did his daughter. We didn't know when he was going to die. But we don't know what purpose he had to serve before God said his time was up. Maybe he served everything he had to do, and maybe he made the history and the mark on this world that he needed, and God said, that's all I needed from you, and it was his time to go. Same with his daughter. Unfortunately, kids die all the time, but we don't know how long a kid has on this earth. That's not our place to judge. It is not our place to worry about. It's not our subject that we need to delve into and figure out all the mysteries as to why this person died at 40 and this person died at 13, because we don't know the mark on humanity each of us have inside of us that God gave us. It's just only he knows, and it's only him to decide when we've done what he told us to do. Some people live until 100 and some people live till 30. But as long as God sees that you fulfilled your destiny and what he's chosen you to do, then he decides when your time on this earth is done. So maybe Kobe Bryant did what God instilled in his heart to do, and maybe he didn't know it, but God did and said, look, I'm sorry, but if you trust me, then in living eternal life with me, then it's going to be the best you ever had. And that's where he is right now. That's what I like to believe he is. And yeah, it's sad. And yes, it's a sad moment and a sad thing everybody goes through when you lose somebody. But every time I lose somebody or someone dies, like, and I hear it in the media, I like to think of that they hit what God always installed in them to do. They hit what they were supposed to. And there's nothing left here for them to do. So why leave them in a world where they're just to be shallow and useless? Besides, take them to a place where they're eternally grateful and always happy. There's no more pain in heaven. There's no more sadness. There's no more tears. There's no more crying. There's no more nothing. It's that place where you praise in eternal life and you're there forever. So yeah, of course we all don't go at the same time. But think about it in a way that everybody who has they did what they needed to do and they left a mark on you, obviously because you're hurt by it, and on everybody on this earth so it could keep going. Had they not, or had he still been alive, maybe some things would have altered. Maybe some things would have went different ways they weren't supposed to. But if you think about it like that, it'll just lead to the result of, all bad things happen and people just die for no reason. Because I don't like to think people die for no reason. So that's how I like to take it.
And I couldn't say it any better myself, because it's the same answer that I've given myself. And what I believe in is that, one, as far as individuals, God gave us free will. He gave us free will. And if he decided to control every little thing that happened, we wouldn't be individuals. We'd pretty much be in heaven at that point. So it's very unfortunate when people pass away, or when jets or private jets that have worked 100 times just suddenly don't work, and now we lose someone in a tragic way. Of course, God has that power. At least I believe that God has the power to stop those things, or like COVID or anything. But as I've noticed that this statement gets people who aren't religious and people who aren't Christian very angry, but God truly works in mysterious ways. And if we can understand the things that Jesus Christ does, then we might as well be him. We might as well be one of his angels. And if that was our purpose, he would have made us one of his angels. So everything has a purpose and a plan. And if you want to look at it as, so God killed someone. If you want to look at it that way, one, it's only going to leave you angry and upset and not want you to be open-minded to the religion. But you can either look at it like that, or look at it as though everything has a plan, but things don't always go as planned. And if he wanted to have his plan go 100% how it was supposed to, then we would all lose control. There would be no point in us trying to pursue to be better, because he would do it for us. So when things happen that he didn't intend, the only thing he can do, unless he comes back to this world and reconstruct everything how it says he's going to do in the Bible, and he's going to come back, unless he does that, there's only so much he can do. And that so much is allow their spirit in heaven, and allow the people who are hurt to heal and understand that he didn't want to take that person away from you. Maybe it was just their time, or maybe it wasn't their time, and there's nothing more he can do if he allows everyone to have full control. And I want to ask you, you were mentioning, and you were talking about heaven, just that it's a place that you don't hurt no more, and that the people who were in pain, they aren't in pain no more. And I want to ask in more detail, what is heaven to you? What does heaven mean to you? Is it necessarily a place? Is it a symbol? Is it a mindset? Is it an experience? What does heaven mean to you? And why does it mean that to you?
I definitely say personally that heaven is a place. I feel like it's something to I don't want to say cherish death, but look forward to, as far as, so you know how people always ask the question, do you believe in the afterlife? You get people who are like, yeah, I believe in heaven, or, I believe that our eyes closed and it's darkness forever. When people told me that answer, I was like, bro, you serious? Butt and casket, that's all I'm gonna do in my casket is just be darkness, bro. And I used to be really, really scared at the conversation of death, because I didn't know what happened after death. None of us know. But it took me getting back into my word and rekindling my connection to learn that if I believe in a place of heaven, then it's mine. I have a ticket to heaven already. Why? Because I confess with my heart and tell me that Jesus is Lord, and that's all you have to do to get into the gates of heaven. The Bible says so. And so my spot is already there. I just have to keep fulfilling my purpose here on earth, so that when I get there, it's much more bountiful and it's much more beautiful. So I definitely say that heaven, to me, is a place, just like hell is a place. I believe that both of those two are very two distinctive places that the Bible describes if you read it. So, and it's kind of funny, because I usually have these spiritual and God talks with my grandma, because she's also very religious, and she's the one who really brought up my faith when I was younger about, you will go to church. Easter Sunday, you will be in church, all right? And, we usually have these conversations, and she's the one who inspired me to start my Bible journaling, which I'm going to get back into because I made a promise. And we always have talks about heaven. And if you know my grandma, she's really into casinos and gambling. So she said that her heaven would be a casino wonderland. And she would be in there and she would gamble, but she'd never lose money. She just always gain for eternity. And I was like, Grandma, that's silly. Why would your heaven be a casino? And she was like, well, it's a place where you're the most happy. And I'm not saying that in the casino she's most happy, but she thought of it as her dreamland. A place where she would go and she'd never have to worry. If she could go into a casino and never worry about leaving out with nothing, then she would. You know, it's her dream. So I always thought of heaven being my dreamland. But my dreamland would be where I just never have to worry. I'm a very worrisome person. And sometimes it drags me down a lot because I worry too much about things I can't control. So that's when I give the things that I can't control back to him. I'm like, you know what? You're right. It's not for me to control because I couldn't change it if I wanted to. You got that, bro. Thank you. Thank you again. Yeah, my dreamland or heaven would be a place where I didn't have to worry no more. I could wake up every day and not have to worry about the unimaginable because the unimaginable would never happen. I'm in heaven, bro. Like, who doesn't want to go to heaven, bro? Like, I see all these jokes about, no, I'm not making it to heaven, bro. I'm making it to heaven. All right? I'm going to be right there seated next to the Lord, okay? When they knock on my door and be like, you rang? I was waiting for you already. I've been waiting, you know? Yeah, everything on this earth is cool, but heaven is cooler, all right?
And that's such a beautiful way to look at it. And I actually share a very similar mindset to your grandma. Just that heaven, I also agree with you, heaven is definitely a place. And at that moment, it will be everything we read about in the Bible, everything we prayed to. We would finally meet the person or the being who we believed in Jesus Christ. And our faith would be not humanized, but it would be shown to you. And you will ironically see the light. And it would just be a place where you don't have to worry and you will just be happy all the time. And I have a very interesting question. It's still about the religion thing, thinking about. And obviously I want to put this disclaimer that we are not God. So when people are harsh on others or other sinners, ironically, when we're all sinners, and say like, oh, you're going to go to hell, you're not going to make it to heaven, and lash out on those people are not, that God would not want us to do that. And the best way to say that. So with putting that disclaimer, how do you think someone goes to hell, for lack of better words? Do you feel it's a certain amount of actions that someone can do to end up in hell, or is it a specific person? Because there are obviously older Christians who say certain people who live their lifestyle a certain way, whether that be the LGBTQ plus community or people who drink or smoke or people who do anything that they don't do, that they're going to end up in hell. But how do you view that scenario of not making it to heaven? Because I have a very unique perspective on that, and I just want to get your insight on it before I give mine.
Honestly, I feel like there's a lot you'd have to do to not make it to heaven. Because I believe that the God that we serve is very forgiving, and he's more forgiving than anybody on this earth could be forgiving. Like, even if you say you could forgive anybody 1,000 times for doing you dirty, God could forgive them 3,000 times because he has, and he's forgiving people this very second for sins they're committing. And if we didn't serve a forgiving God, we all would have been in hell. We all would have been on that one-way train there, because we sin on a daily basis. We commit sins without knowing them, because the generation we live in, I wouldn't say it's a lifestyle, but it's becoming routine to make certain sins. One of them, as old folks will say, is cussing. I don't have the best mouth. You know, I do express myself in a vulgar language sometimes, you know. But if that was the case to a sin that would put me in hell, I'd be there, because it's something that I commit, and it's something a lot of people commit, you know. So I say it would take a lot for God to say no, because of the person that he is and the person he's shown to me who he is. And as of a forgiving person as he is, especially coming from a time where I was like, you know what? No, I don't think you're really real. You know, by making those mind spaces, I don't think you're really real. You haven't shown me. You don't really do nothing. So yeah. And then it took him forgiving that to show himself to me in a way that I couldn't imagine throughout all of the things that I have and the things that I excel on. Even the things that I don't excel on, he says, well, this wasn't for you, and I'm showing you that it's not, but since you pushed so hard for it, I have to drop disappointment in your face to show you that it's not for you. And yes, you're going to see somebody else get it, but it was meant for them this whole time. Now, if you wait, I'm going to give you what you need, so don't rush me so I can give it to you. And I'm like, you know what, you're right. But yeah, I feel like it would take a lot. And honestly, I feel like the biggest thing would honestly just be, I guess, saying he's not real. I guess if I had to pick something, would just be saying that, because I always like to tell people, and if we get in conversation like this, or if I'm trying to talk somebody out of saying like negative things about themselves, I always like to say that your tongue holds a lot of power. And I know this from experience, personal experience, that the things that you say follow you and they trail back to you. So if you want good things to happen, you can confess it or manifest, as Gen Z likes to say, over your life, and it will happen. Things can move for you if you speak them into existence, and you speak them and back them up with work. They can happen for you. But a lot of times people don't want to put in the work. So when they speak it, they're like, I want a Lamborghini. But you're not working towards a Lamborghini. How are you getting that Lamborghini? God can wake you up so you can help work to the Lamborghini. But he's like, I'm not just about to drop a Lamborghini in your face. That's not how this works. And you're like, you're not real. You didn't give me my Lamborghini. He never wasn't going to not give you the Lamborghini, but you had to still work for it. If he gave out freebies, we all be rich. Because we all be like, God, give me 1,000 right quick. On a loan. That's not how that works. We still have routines to do to get to the things that we want. So, if I had to say what would probably lead someone to hell, would probably just be confessing that Jesus is a real. Well, I feel like it's the biggest thing and the biggest, I guess, buzzer that you can continuously hit to wind up there. And even then with saying that, because I know there's a lot of people that say that, they're probably being forgiven and is still being forgiven in this very moment, because that's just who he is. You're going to shy away from him and he's still never going to leave. He's always going to be there. It's just your choice to decide whether you want to go with him or not. And he's never going to force you. He's never going to push you. So it's always your decision. And he's just going to be like, well, I wanted you, but if you didn't come to me, I still love you. But,
Definitely understandable, and I view it in a very similar way. And I was just, the more simplistic version of my viewpoint is just, if you don't believe in him, then there's no access to him. If you don't believe in, that's like if I didn't believe in a different religion, like people who are Muslim. If I don't believe in the things that they believe in, then I'm not going to get the access to the things that they view are going to get when they pass away or when they reach a certain point of enlightenment. So if you don't have faith, because I'm pretty sure this says this in the Bible multiple times, and just people, even if you hear this in church, and you said it earlier, the only thing you have to do for Jesus Christ to accept you is just say that he's your Lord and Savior, that you are a sinner and that you want to improve on your sins, and just say you believe in him. So if you don't believe in him, it's kind of how that works. And that was another thing the YouTuber was that I was watching, that they were saying in a more negative way towards religion, that he said, like, oh, if you don't believe in me, I'm just doomed to hell. Like, what type of God is that? That's pretty much what he was saying. And to that, it's very hard when someone views religion negatively. It's much easier when someone just doesn't believe in anything or they're more open. But when it's more negative, it's hard to get past that barrier of hurt, because a lot of, especially with Christianity, a lot of it is just having faith and just not believing in something that you don't see, but you just feel, and you've experienced certain things to allow you to feel that way. But there's no concrete answer of, this is why things happen. This is why you'll go to hell if you don't believe in God. And sometimes that's not enough for people, but it's enough for people who believe. And to go back to the heaven thing, one, in the more simplistic version, if you don't believe, then there's no access to heaven because you don't believe it's real anyway. So there'll just be an alternative reality for you once you pass away. But I've always viewed it as, no matter what, some form of an individual, some form of that spirit will always go to heaven. And I've used the more, it's a joke, but it's the more, there's serious undertones into it. But Hitler wasn't always Hitler. Like, obviously, Hitler is one of the worst people you can ever think of because of the things he did. But I believe, the God I believe in, God made everyone, and God made people in his image. So there was some form of Hitler that God made that wasn't a killer. So whatever that, even if you have to stop to 5 years old, if he was a demon from 6 and up, you won't access heaven. But whatever, the person that he made is not a demon, is not an evil spirit. So even when we all have our sins and we all have our imperfections. There's going to be a form of us, at least this is how I view it. There's always going to be a form of us that always makes it to heaven because God made us and he made us in his image. So he knew what we do every step the moment that we take it before we even knew that we were going to do it. He knew everything we were going to do before we did it. So if he knew up to a certain point we would lose track of his word, then up until that point, then we would and wouldn't make heaven based on when we separated from the word of God. And for people who were never religious, then those would probably be the situations where as soon as he made you, you'd be like, okay, that base form, or can't think of phrase, that original being that I made, that's the only being that's going to have access to heaven. So it's very interesting to always think about where do you go after you die, because you don't know what the next day holds for you, let alone whenever you're not on this earth anymore. But just having that faith of whatever you believe in, even if you're not Christian, even if you're not religious at all, having something to keep you going, that's all that's important. And just having that relationship with God, or just having that relationship with whatever you believe in, it's always up to you. I remember I was telling Jada, and I've told other people this as well, I had to fix how I view people who believed in, let's say, astrology, for example. And my first instinct always was, that's the most stupid thing in the world. How you gonna believe in a freaking rock? And Jada holding her laugh. I'm a snitch. And
why'd you say it like that?
Because that's how I viewed it. That's how I thought at first, is why would somebody believe in a rock? Because in the Bible, and I based it off just thinking it's dumb, and in the Bible, it say not to idolize anything other than me. So if you're idolizing, it's one thing to idolize another religion, but you're idolizing a piece of jewelry or crystal, then it seems non-intelligent, for lack of better words, and just not call it dumb. And I had to rethink that mindset, because I asked myself, how would I feel if somebody told me believing in the sky is dumb, or whatever people call Jesus, Sky Daddy, or whatever the things that they call Jesus. Just how would I feel if somebody told me you're believing in something you can't see? At least I can see the thing around my neck, or at least I can have values and put it in this thing that I wear. And it allowed me to reconstruct my mindset, and just people are going to believe in things, whatever allows them to keep them going. And that, at the end of the day, at least to me, that's the most important. And the things we do in our life, no sin in the Bible, there's no sin in there. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure I'm not wrong, but there's no sin ranked over the other. There's no sin that says, okay, you know what? You may have cussed, or you may have killed somebody, but if you cuss, that's number one. Like, the only thing that is the highest thing is not believing in him. And we're all going to be sinners, and especially if to people who view having a different sexuality than straight is a sin, I would always just think, and again, those type of people you can never have most of the time you cannot have conversations with, because their mindset is set. But I would always think, if God doesn't specify, one of the main things God does specify is love, and loving your neighbor and loving the people around you. And we're not in his position, so we can never determine who goes to hell or based on what they do. And I always think that if no sin is ranked above the other, and God has always looked down on multiple sins, and he's done things to correct multiple types of sins, then how can you determine that one sin is going to truly set them out of the gates of heaven? So it's a very interesting conversation, and this conversation can go on for hours, especially with people who want to have the conversation. But just in general, before we segue into something else, do you have any more thoughts just in general about religion, or the God you serve, or the God we serve? And yeah, matter of fact, I got a question for you, but answer first. And then I got one more question for you, just because I've heard this as well.
Yeah, no, I was definitely just going to say that I agree with you. Yeah, it takes a certain individual you just have to be open, and you really have to have an open-mindedness to you, and you really have to be a type of person who genuinely wants to have conversations and not debates. I feel like people don't know the difference between a conversation and a debate. When you have conversations like this, they're not more so debates, they're more so just understanding how other people live their life. Because to me, I find that very fascinating. Understanding how other people get through the day, and how other even cultures do the things that they do. I find it fascinating, and I find it something that I always want to dig deep into and learn about. But that doesn't mean I'm going to diminish or talk bad about them because they live differently than me. Like that's just not the type of person I am, one, and that's not the type of person I was made to be. And yeah, it really just takes someone who has a lot of love in their heart and not hate to carry on conversations like this and really get deep into them and really like give powerful answers, because even if we don't come to an agreement, that doesn't mean we didn't have a breakthrough. You know, that doesn't mean that wasn't destined to happen. That doesn't mean that it wasn't in the script to happen, because we both could have enlightened each other, and I could have spoke something in you to spark in you to search out God again, or to rethink what happened to you to make you lose your faith in him. You know, I always find conversations like this powerful, but a lot of times people put their emotions too forward at first to where their head and heart don't align. Because their head's there like, yeah, I want to really talk you into this to get the logics and to get your side. But your heart's still so hurt that you're like, they're like everybody else. They're like everybody else at the church. Like everybody else who told me if I walked in here, I'd burn. Or if I walked in here, I'd immediately be sentenced to hell. When, like I said earlier, you have to take the hurt away, which is one of the hardest things someone could do. But you have to take out that hurt to relearn again. You have to take out hurt to relove again. You can't love with hurt in your heart. And you can't learn with hurt in your heart, because hurt leads to hate. And when you hate, there's really nothing coming from hate, because now you just hate everything because of how hurt you were. So it really takes you wanting to heal from your hurt to either relove again or to relearn. And yeah, it just takes a strong individual.
And one of the questions, because I thought of two more questions to ask you about this topic, but the first one I was referencing is, when in the religion of Christianity, we believe in God, but also Jesus Christ, and it's the Father. We believe in the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost.
My God.
I've heard people ask, like, okay, so does that mean you believe in multiple gods, or does that mean, like, what does that work? So how do you understand that it's all like one being, and just how did you understand the depths of truly what Jesus Christ, who Jesus Christ is, and what you're believing in specifically?
So I kind of like to think of it as the same person, but in three different ways. So the Holy Ghost, I figured that out as a piece of God going with you every day that you could tap into on a daily basis, even when you feel like he's not listening. It's always a part of him that's in you, that goes with you, that protects you. Because you ever had a moment, like a life-threatening experience that you made it out of, that you say, oh, I wouldn't have made it out there without God? I feel like that's kind of what the Holy Spirit is. It's kind of there in you to protect you from those things that if you didn't have him, you'd fall into, or specific traps that you would have fell easily into had you not been guided or protected by him. And then as far as like God and Jesus Christ, of course, we all know Jesus died on the cross for our sins, and then 3 days later, he was sent back up to heaven to be with God. I kind of find that as a tag team, so to speak. So I feel I look at it too as like, this is a funny way of saying it, but I feel like looking at Jesus like the messenger, be like, yo, Jesus, I got an issue. Can you send this to God right quick? He like, hold on. There you go. And they have that little debate, and they be like, all right, bet. I know exactly what to give you. I sometimes look at it like that. But honestly, when I say God and when I say Jesus, I kind of mean the same person, because to me, they are the same person. Even when you get back into the biblical story, they reference two separate identities, but in my heart, they kind of mend back into each other because they both mean the same thing. And so kind of when I look into it, I always look at God and Jesus the same person. It kind of helps me better understand it. And sometimes, like I said, I think of it as two separate beings, of that funny notation I just said. And then, yeah, the Holy Spirit, I think of that as something that, because in my church that I went to before I graduated, they always told us that the Holy Spirit was something that followed you every day, like I said, to protect you, to keep you going down the right path and not the wrong one. It was kind of the right voice in your head saying, don't trust him. Or you ever get like the gut feelings that you get? I kind of associate that with the Holy Spirit saying, rethink that. Or do not talk to that person because you're going to get messed up. So yeah, I definitely, I understand it kind of like that way.
Okay. And the last question, at least I think it's going to be the last question about this topic I was thinking of, is there are obviously other religions out there, and there are people who aren't religious and who are more based on like science or just psychology and just in general. And there could be multiple different types of people who would prove our religion wrong, or just who would give more natural evidence as to why certain things happen or to why certain occurrences may happen. What in you is going to keep your faith no matter what? Like, even if I've literally had someone ask me, if everything you believe is wrong or everything you believe in, there's something that proves otherwise, would you still believe in the God that you do, and why? And I answered yes, and I told them my reasoning and my experiences. But has there been an experience, a moment, or anything that has kept your faith the way it is now, or is it just living and learning and understanding the religion more?
If someone came to me and said, bro, that jump was a lie, I'd be like, it couldn't have been a lie, because I'm sitting right here. I'm still here. If everything that I went through was a lie, then I wouldn't be here verbally talking to you, explaining why it's not a lie. You know, obviously I'm still here because my time on this earth isn't done. I haven't knocked into what all I'm intended to do and what purpose I have on this earth. Therefore, you can't sit here and tell me it all was a lie, because I'm still here. Had all of that been a lie, I feel like personally for me, I wouldn't still be on this earth anymore, because I would have nothing to live for back in my headspaces. I would have nothing to strive for. I would have nothing to prove for myself. I would have no God in my ear saying, if you keep going forward, I'm going to show you why I kept you here. Because he wouldn't be real, so I wouldn't be here, because I would have had no reason to be here. So I always combat that question with saying, well, of course it's not a lie, because I'm sitting right here talking to you, making fun of, well, of course, if that's a lie, then I'm a lie. Then we're all a lie. Because like you said, we're made like him, and we're made for specific reasons that only he knows, and that he's going to unreveal for us as life goes on. Then we're all a lie. Then we're all not here for a purpose. We kind of just, like people like to say, sails floating through a universe and wind and stuff. But, and that's, not knocking people who, of course, believe other religions, are specifically talking to people who believe in science, and how people always say, oh, I believe in science because it's something I can see, it's something I can touch. Well, how do you know Jesus isn't something I can see, it's something I can't touch? Even if I don't see the physical him, I've had experiences where I have felt like Jesus spoke to me through other people. I feel like I've had conversations, almost something like this, and kind of I could count like this, where Jesus has spoke, but it wasn't him, it was through the mouth of somebody else. So where it was like, who are you again? And how did I just mysteriously run into you and we don't know each other, but you said you have a word for me that I need to hear, and and it was on your heart, and you like, thank you. That's God, He puts words on other people's hearts to give to other people. And I always have this conversation with my friend Josh, who goes to Oral Roberts. He's like, yeah, I've had to give some words to people, and they're like, do I know you? And he's like, no, but it's something that's put on my heart to tell you that God said you need to tell them this because they need to hear it right now. But if they hear it from me, they're not going to believe it. You got to say it because you're a person. And he's like, okay, I'm going to say it. And he said it, and they're like, you don't know how much that meant to me. And I'm like, you see, it's experiences like that doesn't have to be a being, so to speak. They can be human interactions to where he goes into somebody and says, I don't know you. I don't know your situation, but just know that God is still here for you. And they walk away, you never see them again. But you'll never forget that interaction because he knows that's what you needed right now. He puts people in your life that you need to keep going. He helps people say certain things that you need to hear to keep going, because he knows if he tries to tell you himself, you're not going to listen because you didn't listen before. So he goes to other people and say, bro, please, hey, tell her this. You a real one. Tell her that. Tell her that for me. From sign JC, tell her that. And then you say it, and they're like, oh my God, thank you. He's like, we got her. Thank you. So yeah, I like to look at it like that. Like, how can you tell me that I can't feel and hear Jesus just because I can't physically touch a vial or a substance that you create through experiments? How could you tell me that I can't feel the love of Jesus through a child? How could you tell me I can't feel the love of Jesus through my mom? How can you tell that I can't feel the love of Jesus through my best friend, my brother, my random stranger that comes and hugs me randomly because they felt that I needed it? How could you tell me I can't feel him when I feel him on a daily basis through people that I'm close to, through things right now, the wind I go on this topic for hours, but things like that. So yeah.
And it's so heartwarming to have these conversations, because at least on my end, because like everybody's not Christian and everybody's not open to speaking about religion, because if it's two things that people always can get into arguments about is religion and politics. And I'm guilty of being on the other end. If I just don't talk about politics, I don't care. I would be that person to not vote only because, again, I have no care towards it. Either, whether I vote for somebody I want office or not, stuff gonna happen regardless. And politicians lie. So that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, as far as religion, I always love having these conversations, especially with people who believe in the same religion as me, because it shows why we believe in the God we do. And the person you're talking to who believes in that thing, they can give you their whole story and their whole testimony as why they believe in Jesus Christ. Even with people who don't believe in the things I believe in. Like, I've had conversations. I have friends who are Muslim. I've experienced, or I've talked to people who are many different religions, people who believe in astrology. And it's always interesting to me to get their mindset, because it's very easy to call somebody crazy when you don't believe in the things they do. But if you put yourself in their shoes, they're very passionate about this, and it helps them live every day. So would you rather them not be here, or would you rather them believe in something that keeps them going? So I really love these conversations. I love always having them with you, because you're very, again, like I've say a million times, you're very well spoken and you're very strong on the things you believe in. So it could be wrong. Like you said, somebody could tell you that the things are wrong, and you would just tell them that it can't be, because I'm sitting here. So you wouldn't have this conversation with me if I was wrong, or if the things I believed in weren't true, or if it didn't make me feel a certain way. I won't ever get tired of these type of conversations. And also just me in general, I'm very reserved about talking about religion, because there are many people who you would think they share the same belief as you, but then their morals would show that they're very bashful, they're very judgmental. So I always just keep these things to myself, depending on who I'm talking to, because you never know how someone can react. And you never know what can trigger someone, because everybody isn't comfortable about talking about these things. So just having this outlet and you being open to it, I always thank you for that.
Of course, man. Of course.
And to transition to something completely different than religion, some movies have came out this year, and we've seen a couple new ones together. We've seen them together. Well, one of them we didn't see together, but it's fine.
Bro, that's not on me, bro. I'm sorry.
One of them was, we can talk about Scream first. One of them was the newest Scream. And quick little story on my end. I am really, first of all, in movies in general, I never was really allowed to watch a lot of movies, and just in general, once I grew up and got to the point where I could watch them, I just never cared to. I never had the moments to. And my least favorite horror genre, or my least favorite genre of movies to watch, is horror. Like, I'm just not a scary movie fan. One, it's either because most movies don't scare me and I view the acting as dumb, like the people can't act in a scary movie, or especially being a religious person, just all the spirits and demonic stuff, it's just not for me personally. And my lovely girlfriend of mine is the complete opposite and loves horror movies and loves scary movies. And there can be a million scary movies and it can make her the happiest person in the world that day. I would tell her I'm not watching that. Like, especially like in stuff like Insidious. Like, she could be. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna get too extreme, but it could make her very happy and be like, babe, I'm not watching it. And one of the franchises that she got me into was Scream. And she told me it's her favorite scary movie franchise, or it's one of her favorites at least. And ironically enough, to this day, even we didn't watch all 6, but like the first 4, I feel is one of the most overrated franchises I've ever watched. Like, especially because, like I've said, one of my biggest gripes with Scream is the reasons the killer have for doing what they do. Like, you mean tell me for the first 3 or 4 movies, the reason, or I think only for the first 3, the reason they wanted to kill old girl was because the mom was let me not say it the original word I was gonna say, but the mom slept around with a lot of individuals, so now they want to kill the daughter. Like, that was always so dumb to me. And then especially, I think it was Scream 4. I got a lot of gripes about Scream, but the newer one, Scream in 2022, and then Scream 6. I really like those. I actually really love the newest one, Scream 6, just because how they executed everything and just how they delivered that movie. I feel it was really well. What did you think of the newest Scream, and what do you think of the Scream franchise in general, from what you can remember, obviously?
Yeah, I really like the new Scream. For context, yes, my sister loves horror movies because my mother loves horror movies. My mother is a horror movie fanatic. That is definitely one of her favorite movie genres. She got Janae really, really into scary movies, and of course, if one twin likes scary movies, the other one does not. I would not say it's my favorite, but getting older, I guess I'm like, Bro, I guess. Let's go see this movie. But being younger me, I'm like, we really gotta go see The Conqueror Part 3. Like, we really gotta go watch Insidious on DVD. I'm like, can we watch Princess and the Frog or something? Can we watch something nice and happy? So I definitely was not into horror movies. I was scared. Not gonna hold y'all. I was terrified as a baby, child. My mother was like, well, it's either you stay here or come to the movies. I'm not gonna give up a choice to go to the movies. How you give me such a choice? So I went scary, jacket over my head like this, watching Janae's like, oh, did you see that, Jada? Jada, did you see all the blood in his head? I don't want to see it, Janae. All right? I'm done. But yes, I really like Scream. Scream, it will be up there as one of my favorite horror movie franchises. My ultimate favorite is Halloween. Michael Myers. Chef
overrated. I'm joking. That last, I don't know what they did with that last. We all agree, like, yeah, that last one was. But nah.
They got a little older.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. But
hey, shout out Michael Myers.
Right, Michael Myers is a villain, top tier serial killer. But yeah, Scream, I feel like this Scream was really, really like cliffhanger and then not ending expected, like not an ending I expected, especially. Like, of course, you going into a Scream, you be like, all right, time to play detective of who the killer is. It's somebody in this circle, but who is it? So, I'm over there in that movie like, oh, it could be you, because, you're really not into it like that, or, oh, it could be that guy, because, he just got here. But what if it's that girl who's really just, loud and trying to make it seem like it's not her? Then you get to the ending and you like, what? So, yeah, I definitely said this Scream is definitely up there. I feel like they tailored back into, like, Scream 1 with the original and like how the Scream is supposed to be. And I really I'm actually kind of glad that really one of the main returners was only like Gale in it, because it made it more so like they were like
I'm giving the hand. Y'all can't see how I'm giving the hand still. Like, I don't want to put spoiler warning on this, but so bro, walk light, bro.
Scream been out for like how long, bro?
Creed been out for how long? And I just seen that yesterday, so it happens,
hey,
bro.
They ain't see it, bro. My bad. But look, I gotta explain my point, bro. My bad. Hey, go to the movies, bro. That ain't on me. Go to the movies. But yeah, that one character in there, I guess it's kind of like telling like readers and viewers that they're shifting out. They're bringing in the new batch of characters, which I always like to see in franchises, and I like to see how they do it. And I feel like Scream did a really good job of doing that. It wasn't like these characters just here and it's like, well, who are you again? It was like, okay, well, I get you. I get why y'all here. Let's keep it moving. I like the plot. I like what's going on. Let's keep it going and let's see what happens, So yeah, I really like the new Scream.
Yeah, I told y'all when we watched it, like, that's my personal favorite one. Especially as somebody who views the first, like, original overrated. Like, I really like the new direction they're going in. And one of the best parts of seeing that movie wasn't even the movie in general. It was being in the theater and, like, reacting, like, oh, my God, like, that's going on. And, like, the whole theater is reacting the same way. Because I've heard horror stories on, like, we've experienced it where people get like mad at us for like, or mad at people if they're like talking, especially younger people, because younger people some people can't shut up. I'm one of those people. Like, I'm very guilty of talking through movies because I'm very like reactionary. I don't know if that's a word, but if something's going on, it's blowing my mind, I'm not just gonna think in my head like, oh my God, that's so crazy. I'm be like, oh my God, that is so crazy. Like, I remember in Black Panther, and even though this movie been out for a while, I literally seen it on DVD at Target, like the Target by MSU. But I'm still not gonna spoil it. But when that one character died, we all was like, no, that's not like. When certain things happen in these moments, there's a big theater for a reason. Like, you're supposed to react. So I can't ever sit there and be like, oh my God, that just didn't happen. So when the reveal happened of Scream, like who did it, and the whole theater was like, no, like just that makes the movies great for me, because going to the movies, it was, especially when I was younger, it was like a special occasion. Like, it wasn't a luxury, like just going to the movies every time the movie came out. It was like, oh, okay, like a superhero movie coming out, like, okay, we'll see this one. Or like, there's a black superhero, we definitely gotta see that. Or like certain movies, it wasn't like I wasn't the child or kid to always go to the movies or always see certain things or even remember them. Like, my parents, not to say that they just never take me to the movies. Like, either we would go to the movies occasionally or we'd get like the bootleg version. Like, if it was like Penguins of Madagascar, like Dragon Ball Z was my thing and still is my thing. When I was younger, like, wanted to see that in theaters, but we couldn't go see it in theaters because it was released in Japan. So when they made the American version and just putting it on DVDs, like, those experiences were like more my movie experiences were. quote unquote. I probably, like, if my parents looked hard enough, they probably can find, like, our collection of DVDs, like Lilo and Stitch, Shrek, Cat in the Hat, like those, especially when the moments we didn't have cable, that DVD player and that DVD, oh, that held it down. I would rather watch that than TV we got so comfortable with it. Or like Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo, man, take me, y'all know nothing about it, right? Y'all know nothing about it. But the other movie I was referencing that Jada saw without me, but Creed, the newest Creed. And I'm going to actually dedicate a separate podcast episode to this, hopefully with a guest. It's going to be a very special guest if I can pull that. But just in general, your thoughts. What'd you think of the newest Creed and Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors and how they performed and looked in the movie? And
it's crazy.
Do you feel, again, if you remember the other two, do you feel it was the best out of the three? And how do you feel about just like Rocky not being in it? I don't know if you've seen Rocky in the other movies, but just overall, how do you feel about the third Creed?
Yeah, I love the third Creed. If I'm going to the movie to see an action movie, that is what I consider action. Like, that's what I consider, somebody testing you, like, bro, you gonna show up or you not? You gonna fight me or no? And you be like, yeah, let's go. And then the action starts and you like, oh yeah, who gonna win this? Who gonna win this? Yeah. So I really liked the third Creed. I liked the storyline of it. I liked, the flashbacks, the actual big impactful fight scene where it's going on forever and you like, dang, they not done. But you see every shot means something. Every punch they throw meant something because of how close they were. And honestly, yeah, I definitely say, I feel like 2 and 3, 2 and then this one are my favorites. They're like tied. Because I really, really like 2 just for like the emotional relationship aspect of it between Adonis and his now wife. But then you go into 3 and then you see their daughter growing up. And then, of course, and I really, really love that they had like a deaf actual child play the deaf character. Because it makes it more emotional and impactful for that, that child to say, hey, I can't do this even though I can't hear as well as you. And I mainly speak through sign language. And it also breaks a barrier in movies because you don't really see a lot of ASL in movies. Because, movies you think hearing, obviously. But what about for the non-hearing people who can't hear? That doesn't mean they can't watch a movie. They just have to do it a different way. So having her in there and then even having, Michael B. learn ASL and all of them learn how to communicate with her on and off the screen, it was like a really, really just good moment for like movies and cinema and just really good for the actors because now they have something like to further add to their belt and further connections they can make as far as what they can do. But yeah, I said Michael B. Jordan at acting, 10 out of 10. That man really knows how to get into character, just like Jonathan Majors. If you've seen him in Ant-Man, oh my God, that man can act. They both can act, and they definitely deserve all the props that they're getting for the movies they have been in because they embody their characters and they really push it to the forefront. But yeah, I love Creed. I love action movies. Like I said, if I want to see action, that is what I call an action movie, okay? The suspense, all of that. That is an action movie for sure.
Mm-hmm. And again, I'll save more of my thoughts for when I dedicate the episode to it. But I really like the movie as well. And just the psychological aspects of Michael B. and Jonathan's relationship in the movie, or Adonis and Damien's relationship in the movie. The mom, I'll just leave it there, but the mom and the daughter and just the deeper dive, at least how my mind thought about it when I was watching it. Just, I'm very excited to talk about it in general. And for me, even though I really like 3, 2 is my favorite just because, so I break it because each movie is great. And I break each movie down into the really big moments where in the first one, by the way, spoilers for especially the first 2. And then I'm going to try not to spoil the third one. But in the first one where Rocky was sick and we didn't know if Rocky was going to be alive, where he got the cancer, same thing that his wife or late wife Adrian did. And then seeing the moments of Michael B. or Adonis tell him, like, if I fight, you fight. Like, I'm not fighting. I'm not going to continue boxing if you're not going to try and fight this. Or in the third one where the very impactful moments happened, I'm not going to spoil, but the second one is always going to be my favorite because, little known fun fact on me, I really want to box. Like, I genuinely want to get into boxing because, one, just the action of it, but just let alone, you can take away the whole boxing aspect of boxing. Just getting the people, the shape they be in, like Michael B. and Jonathan Majors, like, and just the people who be boxing in that movie, like, they be looking good. And, like, the shape you can get in exercising for boxing and having your mind determined on a goal to succeed in, that is incredible. And I would love to do that. And none of the things, or most of the things, don't really steer me away from boxing, like the dangers of it, because it's a dangerous sport. Like, you're literally getting hit, and just the exercise you put in, it's very, like, it's not easy. You have to put in a lot of work to get the goals that you want in boxing, whether it be the body or winning the fight. None of that scares me in boxing. When I was watching Creed 2 and he got out of the fight with Victor Drago, and like Drago was hitting his like stomach and abdominal so hard that when he went to use the bathroom, he peed blood. That scared me more than anything. Like, I could watch a whole scary movie and not be scared, but that genuinely made me be like, okay, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I'd rather take a concussion. But you mean tell me you peeing blood? No. And just that feeling, the fact that they would show that in the movie, like, it's very real. Like, the mom also says, like, the whole thing of Creed is that his dad died in the ring. Like, that's not the farthest thing that can happen, because you're getting hit to the point. Some people get knocked out in boxing and some people don't wake back up. So just the sport can be really dangerous. And the fact that they depicted that in such a real way, it really opened my eyes. Like, wow, like that genuinely, they just put that on a movie screen. And if you also know about me, I really, really want a daughter. I really want, one of my biggest dreams in life as a person is to be able to create a life for my future wife and daughter that they'll never have to worry and they're always smiling. So the fact that it was so funny in the scene to where they were at the table, and it was Michael B, or it was Adonis, his wife, or his girlfriend at the time, and the mom, they were at the table, and their plan was they were going to tell the mom that he's going to fight Victor Drago, the son of the guy who killed his father. And of course, the mom not gonna be cool with that, so they felt they should sit at the table and talk to her about it. And when Adonis was trying to tell her, she was like, I already know. And then they thinking like, how she know about the fight? And she was like, she looked over to his girlfriend and was like, you pregnant, ain't you? And then they looked at the mom, they started laughing like, Ma, you crazy as heck. And then she looked at him again, they got scared for a minute, and then next thing you know, she was actually pregnant. So seeing that, and then the fact that his now wife in the third movie was losing her hearing, and they wanted to test to see if the daughter would be able to hear. And in movies, it's very easy to have the good thing happen. The girl was all like, oh, of course she can hear, or she can hear like out of one ear or something. The fact that they were bold enough to not have the daughter be able to hear, and to see like Michael B breaking down and seeing them be hurt, or just not hurt, just unfortunate that the baby can't hear and that she won't be able to hear, seeing that moment, like it got to me. Like, a lot of when I'm watching like media and TV and stuff, even when like emotional things happen, they don't really get to me because I have the understanding that it's just acting. But seeing that and having it hit so close to me because I want a daughter, and me not knowing how I'd react if there was something to where like my newborn child, something's going on, that really stood out to me. And then after that, to have Rocky be in the role of telling Adonis like not why are you crying, but why are you sad? Don't feel sorry for her, because she's not going to feel sorry for herself, and just love her how you would if she could hear. Just that whole, like, that ending was just, forget the fight. Like, those parts of that movie, and then what in the third movie, how they utilize the daughter who, like Jada mentions, also deaf. That movie, like, this movie franchise is really good to me. And like, if they ended it here, I don't know, especially with the money in it, they're probably going to make a Creed 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8. But one, especially without Rocky, and especially with the direction the third movie took, I would be okay if they stopped here. Because again, because it's hard to talk about without spoiling it, but just the direction they went in, is with unfortunate how Rocky's, at least with how things stand now, he doesn't plan on being in any more of the Creeds, because there's a contract thing going on, because someone owns the rights to the Rocky character, and Sylvester Stallone would want those rights, and he's not giving it to Sylvester Stallone, because Sylvester Stallone sold it when, like, during the first Rocky movie, because he didn't know how big it'd be. So now it's like, I mean, he gave his rights away to the character, but he would want them because it's him. You don't have Rocky. You don't have Creed without Rocky. So I definitely understand him not wanting to be in it, but it's just unfortunate when you have certain moments and it's like, dang, like, like Rocky should be here. But yeah, that movie in general was really good, and I still will talk about it in the podcast episode I have for it, that I plan on doing for it. But just in general, are those the only two movies you've seen this year? Was Black Panther, was that this year? That's crazy that I can't even remember that. Was that this year? Oh, I'm about to do a live Google search. Just when did Black Panther 2 come out? That came out in November of last year?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I knew it couldn't be this year. I'm like, The year just started.
I feel like yesterday. Even then, we in March. We about to be in April of this year. Your birthday, we mentioned earlier. Your birthday about to be here in a minute. That is insane. But
it definitely came out last year.
So these are the only two. I think these are the only two movies I've seen this year. Well, Ant-Man, the new Ant-Man this year. You know what? We go. I don't even want to talk about it. That hurt my feelings how they did the new Ant-Man, because like I mentioned, I really want a daughter, and the relationship that Ant-Man and his daughter have, especially in the first two, especially in the first one, beautiful. Like favorite Marvel superhero as of right now, because I was never into the superhero movies. My family wasn't really into it either, and that's another thing that Janae and Jada and y'all mom and just y'all family have gotten me into. So I got to go back and watch all of them and see who would actually be my favorite superhero. Yeah. And I don't want to just say Black Panther because he's black, even though he was a good superhero, especially R.P. Chadwick. But
R.P. Chadwick, man.
Right now, as it stands, especially if I erase the third one out of my memory, Ant-Man is my favorite right now. But I actually it's going to be a bit random, but it kind of ties into Creed, at least a specific part of Creed, and just a more serious question that I want to ask you and just get your thoughts on. So obviously in Creed there was important aspects and it was action aspects, but it had its fan service. Like obviously Michael B, every time he take his shirt off, all the girls like, oh my god, Michael B. Or when Jonathan Majors, they were obviously built, and they're obviously the ring girls who had, what's the best way I can word this? They appeared in a very attractive way with how they were dressed. And when you're in a relationship, sometimes it becomes difficult when you show attraction towards anyone that isn't your partner. And there's always a fine line to keep between being respectful of your partner and just being a normal human and being attracted to other individuals who may look good. Not to say that you want to like marry them or something, but just somebody look good, be like, oh, their body looks good, or oh, Michael B, or however you react to it. How do you feel the balance should be kept in praising your partner for how they look and then showing attention to, let's put it on the guy, let's not put it on you? When guys show attention to other women or they follow Instagram models but they're in a relationship, how do you feel about that in general? And how does a guy, again, I'll keep it on the guys, but how does a guy or girl, how do they balance that reaction and feeling of, I guess just more blunt way to say it, of just finding other people attractive?
I mean, I guess I would take that into account, like, we aren't blind. So, of course, if we find someone that we think is cute, like Michael B., oh my gosh, we gonna have a reaction like that. We're gonna be like, oh my god, that man is fine. But that's not to say I'm about to search up Michael B. Jordan's number and text him every day till he texts me back. Same with Stevie come across the girl on Instagram and he like, dang, that girl kind of cute. And I look over and I'm like, she bad, she doing a little something. We can leave it at that, you know. I feel like there's a fine line between genuine, just human attraction and then sought out attraction, and someone wanting to be with that person, someone wanting to gain attention from that person because they are attractive. So, like in movies, like the girls we were talking about who were pictured in a more attractive manner with the way they were dressed and things like that, there's just a line that doesn't need to be crossed. Like, of course, you know, I was an Ant-Man. I was like, ooh, Jonathan is cute. And of course, I was in Creed.
You say Ant-Man.
Well, he was
Jonathan. He wasn't an Ant-Man. He because we're not gonna spoil anything that's going on.
He's on the poster.
Which was crazy. I even forgot about it because I tried to erase it out of my mind. Like, no, we're not spoiling. But there's literally, I was at one of the movie theaters when I saw Creed, and Jonathan Majors was on one of the Ant-Man posters. I'm like, they revealed him at the after credits. Like, why they? But yeah, so
he's literally on posters and in the official trailer. He's in there.
So that's on me. But
so, in Ant-Man and in Creed, you know, I was like, oh, he's kind of cute. Double movies for him. He doing his big one. And you know, of course, you know, I do it jokingly like, hey, he was texting me, I don't know what you do. You know, that's a joke. But if I was over there just, like, thirsty, like, you could just see it. Now it's like, okay, that's where we're teetering the line of just being uncomfortable. Because, of course, you don't want your partner just sitting there saying how someone else is more attractive. Then you'd be like, what about me, though? And they're like, huh? You know, of course, we don't want that. But I just feel like there's a line between it. And, of course, if Stevie did it, I wouldn't be like, oh, so you looking at other girls? No, don't do that. Throw this one across the room. No, I'm not going to do that. If she cute, I'll be like, she cute. You know, I see what she working with. you know. But as long as it doesn't teeter past, now I'm seeing messages and you in the comments just hard eyes after hard eyes after hard eyes, liking posts, liking posts, liking posts. You don't know the woman, that's different. You don't even know the girl. She don't know you from a can of paint. What's gonna happen? Now you're trying to find something to happen, and now that's an issue because now you want something to happen. Versus you scrolled upon her and you like, oh, she cute. Scroll. Oh, she kind of cute too. Scroll. It's social media. You know, we're gonna see half naked people on the web because that's just what they post now. So if you see, you know, she kind of cute. Scroll. And I'm like, yeah, you know, she cute. Heart a picture. Okay, you know, that's fine. Whatever. I see you in the DMs. You in every picture from 2021. Come on, brother. Like, what you doing? You know, that's the line where it's like. Now you're just thirsty. Now you're embarrassing. That's embarrassing, okay?
I definitely agree, and I like where you said, like, we're not blind. Because at the end of the day, again, to put it on myself, obviously I'm in a relationship. If Janae, even though I've joked with her when she been like, dang, he cute, I'd be like, dang, really, that's crazy. You know, I'm like right here. I personally could care less because it all falls under trust. And if I would ask myself, like, do I think that she's gonna leave me because somebody else looks attractive? Like, no, I don't think that. So why would I get upset about it? Like, I sent her a post, and it was the girlfriend she showed her, or actually the wife showed her husband, like, this guy had like DM'd her, like, saying she was pretty. Like, you know, the TikTok sound, this guy in my DM saying I'm pretty. She was showing him that, and it was that sound, and the guy just reacted like, oh, you is pretty. So I agree with him. And she was saying, like, he just not getting mad after he literally in my DM saying I'm cute. Like, I personally don't care because I know what I got. And I know no matter who she think cute, she go come home to me anyway. So, so it's like, there's no bit of, jealousy or lack of trust, because if I have that feeling, or if someone would do that, they weren't mine anyway. So just with people, and plus people be attractive even as a straight man. Like, I wouldn't hesitate to be like, oh yeah, that dude look good, or yeah, his body look good, or yeah, it dang, like, especially Michael B, when they arms was huge, bro. Like, like, no matter, you can hate all you want to, like, they look good. Like, Michael B is an attractive man. Like, it is what it is. I chop it up to him, bro. So. And especially with other women, like, I've always told Janae, like, yeah, like, there are other beautiful women out there, but they're not you. So I would quickly think or say, be like, dang, she fine. And I would tell Janae, be like, hey, she fine. She'd look at me like, okay, like, oh, so you think she look better than me? I'd be like, no, I don't. Because nobody, no matter who's on this earth, in my personal view, my girlfriend is always going to be the most beautiful woman on this planet. So no matter if they could be half naked, they could be completely naked, it could be a dude, who cares? I'm always going to have my eyes set on the person that I'm with and who I would hopefully eventually marry if we stay together. So I've just always thought about that, because it varies to person to person. And I've always thought that those type of boundaries should be set when the relationship is first made, or at least as early on as possible. Like, if it's something uncomfortable of a guy following multiple Instagram models or liking pictures or anything, if that's a source of uncomfortableness, then that should be made clear when it's first discussed, or like when certain people indulge in certain things that may pleasure them on their own time. I've always viewed, those things should be talked about between the couple before they even get together, but also, just on my personal opinion, it's not something that makes me uncomfortable or jealous, because at the end of the day, it's not like they're seeking that to be with that person or be with that individual. And just with me personally, as like a boyfriend, or just in general, I've always said that I'm not the jealous type, but I'm very protective. Like, if Janae, even for a split second, says that like somebody makes her uncomfortable, or something makes her uncomfortable, that's what set me off. But if somebody hit on her, I mean, I know the type of woman I'm with. I know she fine. People go find her attractive. So it would be naive of me to be upset when somebody, like, if somebody were to come up and hit on her. Now, of course, especially because I'm very petty, so I would just come over there and just kiss her and be like, oh, hey, how you doing? And then just walk away, not even say nothing to the dude. So just, that would be my way of showing, like, okay, like, that's mine. She not going nowhere. But I mean, you do whatever you want to do. Like, you try, see if you can get a number. Matter of fact, if you get a number, I give you bonus points. Like, you did that. I'm gonna talk to her, be like, oh, so you gave me the number. Like, what we doing? But like, I don't know. I've tried not to be the jealous type, because it's too much energy, especially when if you claim you trust your partner, then what's the point of being jealous or thinking that just because they found somebody attractive or they gave somebody a compliment, they're going to walk away from you. So yeah, that's just what I've thought about it from there. And with that being said, I have another interesting conversation that I wanted to get your viewpoints on. That
Bro.
this is also going to be a podcast episode, so I'm not going to give my thoughts on it yet because I want to, even though I may agree depending on your viewpoints. But one of the topics I've wrote down from one of my solo episodes that will be posted after this is rap music dangerous? And I was thinking about this because there's always, especially in certain forms of hip hop, there will be dangerous aspects of it, or there would be like diss tracks. Like we were talking about Tupac and the famous Hit 'Em Up diss track. Like as fire as that song is, and as low key hilarious some of the disses are, that song and just how Tupac was as an individual in some aspects led to his death, and the death of obviously Biggie as well. And just we see rappers die all the time. We see Young Thug locked up in with the RICO case of things that's going on. And just the topic that I wrote down for myself to talk about later is, I'll say the whole thing, and is rap music dangerous? Is rap music misogynistic? And should rap lyrics be used to incarcerate individuals? Let's talk about it all. And just in general, I want to get your thoughts on, do you think the music is dangerous, or do you think the environments they come from are dangerous? And whichever side you're on, what's the impact of where the danger lies? And then how do you feel about like just how men are in rap, like how they depict women, and should rap lyrics that are said be used for serious incarceration when trying to see what's just rap and what's danger? So yeah, you can take that one by one, and I can repeat it if you need me to. But yeah.
Yeah. So as far as rap, just to put it out there, I don't listen to a lot of like today's artists. The rap that I listen to, not the people, hey. People always. As far as like rap artists I listen to, I definitely listen to old school artists. Tupac, that's my number one. I also dabble in Biggie, NWA, groups like that, to where their music was seen as dangerous, but it was only dangerous because of the environments they lived in. Those were rappers that rapped about hard times that were actually hard, because they were actually rapping about stuff that we're going through on a daily basis. Tupac, for example, he was rapping about, stealing and being involved with gangs, but he lived it. So it was just him telling his story, which, yes, of course, it got him locked up a few times. But I would rather rap be about what you're living and you know that you're living it versus you rapping about a facade or a dream that you live in. Now, if you in the suburbs and you rapping about being from the hood and robbing 12 people, but your house is in a gated community, what are you talking about, girl? You faking at this point. But as far as rappers, especially back in those times, of course, the police any better, but hearing those lyrics, they sought them out like, hey bro, you can't be rapping about this, you about to be locked up for 12 years, when sometimes it would be just lyrics, but other times it would be about the struggles that they went through and the adversities that they faced to get to where they are. But I wouldn't say the music itself is dangerous, I would just say the environment is dangerous. Like if you practicing what you're preaching, then that's dangerous. But I feel like putting it on paper and then putting it out there isn't dangerous. I feel like the music itself is just a story. Now, what happens after the story is how someone took it. So, like, for example, the Tupac diss. We all know that was against Biggie. And it was a hilarious diss, and it's one of my favorite songs as far as rap songs. But I don't feel like the diss itself was danger. I feel like the diss itself was an outlet for Tupac to explain how he was feeling in the moment with whatever was going on. But and I feel like he very well knew what was going to happen after the diss track, which is why he put it out there, because he wasn't scared. He was putting out to say his piece. Just like Biggie went out and said his piece. Now what happened after the diss track was the dangerous part, because of course people was like, we just not going to let this fly. All right? So I don't think the music itself is the danger. I feel like the music and the beat that they pick and the lyrics that they choose are mindful of what they want to say out into the world. But I only say that to back in the day rappers, because I feel like those rappers really like honed into their rap and really like spoke truth. Now I'm not gonna lie, there's a few rappers out here today, but a lot of older rappers, like not younger than like 35, who really like rap about stuff that they went through and really like deep stuff. One of my husbands, Jermaine, who really rap about like real life experiences and the stuff that they went through, and you could just tell in the way that their lyrics flow. Like it's not all about how girls look. It's not all about, oh, she got a big butt and stuff like that. It's really about, I like this girl, she cute, we went to school together, I got her like this, we broke. Like it's real life stuff that people go through. Yeah, it might be about how he got arrested a few times, but it's not them idolizing drugs or like the fame. It's them just idolizing their story that nobody would listen to had it not been in a rap song, you know? So that's why I don't say that the music itself is the danger. I feel like how people take it is the danger. And of course, and I know most rappers expect people to take it the wrong way because it's rap. And of course, when you hear rap, you hear thugs, ghetto, gang banging, drugs, stuff like that. So once you associate that in your head with rap, you automatically know that you're going to take it a bad way.
It's a whole nother conversation that I'm going to talk about.
Exactly. And those rappers know that these people are going to take it that way, but that doesn't take away from the fact that they're just telling their story in the first place.
And to piggyback more on the rest of this topic that I had in my questions, because you mentioned that you don't listen to more like rappers who like nowadays. Why is that? I could probably guess, but just to get your insight on it.
I don't listen to them. If I really listen to them, it's for the beat. Because once you take the beat out and you listen to the lyrics, it's like, bro, what are you talking about? You just said the sky is blue, your TV brown. Like, what are we talking about? You know, I grew up in, like, with my mom and the music that they listen to. This is where, like, I learned all these rap. Like, Tupac, one of her favorite artists. Yes, she was listening to Tupac around me as a child. Argue with your mammy. This is why I have such good music taste right now that I do. Because the people that made music were making music to tell a story. You know, they really dived into music. They weren't making it for money. They were making music to relate to people, to gather people into concerts and to celebrate people and to talk about stuff that they went through that had they made a book, nobody would read. Or had they go on TV, nobody would listen to them. But they know most people listen to music. So they made music and people listen to it. So, you know, as far as today's rappers, I feel like a lot of people are in it for the fame and the clout. And I feel like a lot of people aren't in it to make music. They're in it to hear what other people think about their music. And they get into arguments when people say their music is trash. Like, that's what I feel like most artists are in it for music for. Now, of course, you get a few young artists who are like, okay, that song pretty nice. That's a good song. That song is heat. But then again, if I hear a song, I'm really listening to it to dance to the beat. I'm not dancing to the words. Because if I listen to the words, I'm like, bro, turn it off. Just cut the cameras. Turn it off.
Definitely understandable. And I want to ask before, like the last question about this topic, just what music means to you. But I want to get your opinion on just the influence rappers may have. And I know you talked specifically about like the environment and just things that have gone on. That's the more dangerous side of it. But just one, for a more broad version of this question, how do you feel about the impact artists may have when speaking to viewers who may be younger? And also just in general to ask you this, when certain rappers who use certain language in their music, specifically the N-word, let's take that for example, do you feel it's a requirement, or do you feel it would be necessary to not say certain things so you won't put it out there? Like, obviously, for example, if a black artist puts the N-word in his music and then they perform in a concert full of white individuals or people who aren't black, but they repeat the lyrics that are said, is it really the audience fault or is it the artist? So that, and then just how in general, how do you feel about the influence artists may have when putting their music out there?
Honestly, I feel like artists shouldn't take into account like how the audience influence. Because if I'm like someone who's really into music, and if I'm someone who really like values making music, and if I have to say like the N-word, if I have to like cuss a few times, but that's really how I'm feeling like in that studio session recording, then I'm not going to hinder my way of speaking just to appease a white audience. Now, of course, for most concerts, white audiences are making the big money, so they're going to attend these shows. But it's not up to the artist to hinder and say, oh, don't say that, Jimmy. Oh, John, don't say that word. You know, they're up there to do their job. And they have one job and one job only to do is to perform for people that paid to see them. So they're going to perform for people to see them. Now, if the crowd saying the N-word back and they're not white, the artist's going to be like, maybe not. But can they really control everybody's mouth? No. Who's really going to listen to them? And it's really up to, like, whatever individual mindset they're listening to rap. I know me, I have been listening to Tupac for as long as I can remember. Even from a child, I really take this into consideration. Love that my mother did this. She didn't shelter Janae and I or Jazz from anything really. We were exposed to a lot because she said, I'd rather you hear it with me than anybody else, so that if you have a question, you can ask me, not the world, because the world's going to lead you in the wrong direction. I was like, thank you, mama. But, you know, we listen to this type of music, and I turned off fine. I'm not gangbanging, selling drugs, you know? Because I know it's, at the end of the day, it's just music. This is not my lifestyle. This is a lifestyle that I hear from somebody else that can make some good bars and I like to listen to, but it's not my lifestyle. It's not for me. I can't do this. Right? I'm not from there like that.
For real.
People take it to heart too close. Like, you was not that person. That is not your life. They tell you about their life. That don't mean make your life theirs. That's not the point. All right? That's not what they said. Okay?
And just, I agree so much because I've always said, like, at the end of the day, you don't know these people. Like, you don't know them personally. So you can enjoy their music, but you don't know how they are behind closed doors. And somebody was making, like, an argument saying, like, they don't listen or they don't like certain artists or they don't listen to certain artists because of certain things they did. And before I give my opinion, I agree with that stance when it comes to R. Kelly. Like, R. Kelly, like, and even though then again, Robert got some Robert got some nice songs. I'm gonna keep it a band with you. Robert got some nice songs, but I'm not gonna be bumping, no pun intended, bumping R. Kelly just because, like, I don't know, just certain actions he did. With that being said, besides R. Kelly, if you base your moral high ground, or if you base a specific moral high ground based on the type of music you listen to, you barely go listen to music. Like, you could think of the best artist, again, Michael Jackson. I'm going to bring up Michael Jackson in a second here. Like, many people believe Michael Jackson did things that some people say that it's been proven he didn't do it. Some people go ahead and opinion, no matter what, that he did, that he was what he was allegedly supposed to be doing. I mean, heck, Kobe Bryant, one of the people we were speaking of, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant, he literally have had there was some scandal that he went through back in the day where he did something. I think, or I remember what it was. I think he sexually assaulted somebody. I think it was like confirmed that he did it or he was charged with it. And that's a very like horrible thing. But at the end of the day, I don't know Kobe Bryant. I never did know him. And two, he did do a lot of good for people and just his individual self growing. And that's a whole nother conversation. If you feel people could change, that's neither here or there. But at the end of the day, these people are going to do things that you don't agree with, and they're going to do things that you do agree with. At the end of the day, you like their art. Now, if you're friends with an artist or if you know someone on a personal level, then it becomes different. You know them for who they are truly. But at the end of the day, we're listening to music because we like the sound and we like sometimes the message or in general. But if we base it on like what we do, like if we base it on if we gangbang or not, clearly we're not gonna listen to Tupac, or we clearly not gonna listen to a whole genre of rap because of what they portray, what they either portray that they did do or what they just talking about they did and they didn't do. But I don't know, it's a whole nother thing. But in general, I wanted to ask you earlier, the question I was referring to is, what is the impact music has on you and how important, because I know we've spoken about, and I don't know if obviously the people who are listening to this episode, I don't think we talked about this in the first episode, but you used to play an instrument, you used to be in marching band, yes. And your music taste, I can also vouch for her, is really good. Bro, thank you. What is the impact music has on you just in general, and where would you be without music?
Somewhere bored if I didn't have music. Like, music is it's a safe space that I've learned that I have, that a lot of people share. And I'm kind of glad that I have it, because music is one of the things that connects groups of people that you never thought could connect, had it not be for music or had it not be for artists that combine different groups or cultures of people together to listen to them. Yes, I was in marching band. We talked about this a little the first time I was here. Played clarinet from 8th grade to 12th grade. As far as band music, I actually really liked it. It gave me something else that I didn't think I could do. I wouldn't say I mastered it, but I got really good at it. And it unlocked like another version of myself, like the athletic sports. Yes, because marching band was a sport. I'll die on that hill. All you other people out there saying it's not a sport.
Seemed like a button was pressed there, you know.
It was. Okay.
The journalist in me got a dig. Like, you know what? That seemed a little personal, you know.
It is, because people in my high school is always like, okay, you play an instrument, but I play football. What? We're doing the same thing. It's just you throw a ball and I blow air through a horn. I train just like you. I train as many days as you. I work out on the same field that you do at the same time. I run laps with you. We're athletes. If not, I'm using both sides of my brain because I'm marching and playing an instrument and remembering my notes. In the rain. All right, let's go there. Okay. Practicing in the rain used to kill me. Anyways, yes. Music means a lot to me, and it's a very special part to me that I always say that marching band is really hard, but I love doing marching band. It was really fun. Like I said, it made me the athletic version of myself that I was like, oh, I am pretty strong. I really can do this. It's really fun. And as far as music, as far as like artists and singers, music's very like strong in my family. My granddad sings, my aunts and granddad DJ. My mom, grew up around really, really lots of bold musicians, so is my grandma. So music has been in my family for numbers of years that it, of course, didn't skip Janae and I. We were immersed in this musical world of hearing my granddad sing karaoke every time we was at his house, trying to make us into singers, even though it didn't really work, but he always would make us sing karaoke on his karaoke machine, listening to whatever my mama got on the radio. It was hard rap most times, and you just see her casually driving, and we just really listen to this while you going to Myers? Hearing her listen to artists like Michael Jackson and being introduced to him and vividly remembering when he died and seeing his funeral on TV. Like, those memories like that I always have in me that music gave me, because I got to connect with phenomenal artists and I got to be exposed to all types of music, which I never take for granted, because I am exposed to artists that I think all people, if not all black people, should know. Like, how you just not gonna know who the Temptations are? Be real. Like, I am so glad that my mom really pushed, like, no, you gonna know who these people are. Okay, this is your culture. This is your history, your music history. You're not gonna embarrass me out there in these streets if they ask you and you say, who is that? Watching movies like when the Straight Outta Compton movie came out, my young self, I went to go see that movie with my mother and my sister. My sister was like, no, you're gonna know who these people are and their story, because this is a black group that you need to know. I'm like, okay. The movie's like, I'm really watching this on the theater screens, but it was a good movie. Now I'm bumping NWA. Not like that, but I bump it occasionally. If it comes through, I'm not going to skip it. I watched almost all of the Michael Jackson documentaries and all of the Jackson 5 movies to get all that good history into me. I watched Tupac documentaries, and what is this one music documentary that I can't remember? And watch when you cut it off, I remember, I'd be like, dang. I don't know what it is, but it's this one that my mom always watches that she made me watch for specific artists. Like, this is who I used to listen to. Like, listen to this. That's how I know Jodeci and, people like that, and New Edition, and when they break away Belle Biv DeVoe, and when Bobby Brown became his own single star, and people like Whitney Houston, and things like that. It's how I was able to connect all of those people together to create like a black musical history in me that I now know and that I now listen to, even though some of them have been, dead for over 10 years, they still not randomly, but they rotate in my playlist, especially Michael Jackson. I'll listen to at least 5 Michael Jackson songs a day. Like, I have to at this point. That's my guy.
Let's perfectly segue into Michael. I got two interesting questions that we've talked about many, many times off camera, but just to get it on recording. One, we all know Michael Jackson is the king of, some call him the king of pop, some call him the king of R&B. But there are some people who puts another person up there next to him and would say that he's as good, if not better. And this individual is known as Prince, or if you know him, the symbol, the
Don't do him like that. Don't do him like that.
No, I mean, hey, whether you call him Prince or the symbol, bro, I don't know it. I don't know. Nah, to be serious. How do you feel about the Prince versus Michael Jackson debates?
I feel like it was the tabloids and just media trying to put two great black artists against each other, because they couldn't accept that two black people could be really, really good at their craft. It always had to be, well, who better? They're both good. Now, of course, if you ask me, I would pick Michael Jackson over Prince. And we kind of talked about this a little bit, but I feel like the two of them had two completely separate genres of music. That's not to say I'll never listen to Prince. I love Prince. I love a lot of Prince songs, but if I had to pick, the flow that Michael Jackson had and the way that most of his songs was very vibrant and upbeat, and the lyrics that he had, and when you put on a song, you're nodding your head and you're like, yeah, this is a good song. I want that more versus listening to a Prince song. Now, some moods I will put on a Prince song. When Doves Cry, that's my song. Songs like Purple Rain, how can you just not listen to Purple Rain? But even in Purple Rain, it's almost as if he's just saying the lyrics, not singing it, which is kind of the tone that I get with Prince. That's kind of his musical style. That's how he delivers his music. Versus when you listen to Michael, it's all music. It's all singing vocals from the chest as he's singing, okay? All his ad-libs, every word he's singing. He barely speaks, he just sings, which I kind of like more in the music that I want to listen to, But like I said, that's not to say I'll never listen to Prince. Like, I love the both of them. They're both really, really good artists. And I kind of hate now listening to how people just pin them against each other. Like, one's just terrible and the other one's gorgeous. Because they both have songs where they're like, oh, this isn't a favorite, but they didn't both have songs where it's like, this is the best thing in the world. I'm gonna listen to this on repeat. So I kind of just like, bro, I love both of them. I'd pick one over the other, but that's not to say I hate the other one.
Definitely understandable. And with Michael Jackson, he he is incredible. Part of me was low key hoping one of us did a he, and he is incredible. And I want to ask you, will there ever be another Michael Jackson?
No.
And if with your answer being no, who do you think, if you had to pick an individual, who do you think is the closest to Michael Jackson we've gotten?
I love this question. Because it's, come on, y'all, it's Michael Jackson. Like,
that is his name.
Like, bro, but that name holds weight.
It definitely does.
There is no other name that'll hold that holds that much weight the way that he did. Like, y'all, even from Jackson 5 up to when he became his adulthood and even till he died, his name holds power. It holds weight. And when you say Michael Jackson, who don't know who that is? You know, people in other countries know who Michael Jackson is. They might not know who Beyonce is, but they know who Michael Jackson is. Like, the stuff that he did when he was alive, the music he made, the arenas he sold out in 5 minutes, the millions of dollars he made off of Thriller alone, which is still his best-selling album to this day. He's been dead for over 10 years. I couldn't see nobody stepping up to the plate like that because the standard has been broken. There is no standard. It's like, bro, you either make millions or you don't. Like, the level Michael Jackson has made is unbeatable. Like, it's up here. Like, if I see the day where somebody makes it even close to up there, I'm going to be like, dang, you almost at MJ level. But I couldn't see nobody at MJ level because his level is just out of this world. Like, he just broke musical records that haven't been broken before. And he's still the first to ever do some records. Like I said, Thriller is still one of the top selling albums to this day. And he's been dead for over a decade. Even in his grave, he's making money. You know, his estate is continuously to make money. People buy his albums, like literal albums and records for record players to this day. So I couldn't see nobody else going up to being to his level like that. Because what level is he at? 999? Like, what level is he at, bro? We couldn't even measure his level. At this point, it's unmeasurable.
Definitely agree. And if I had to pick people, there are only 2 actual singers, but there are 4 people where I can give, like, okay, as much, they're never going to touch Michael Jackson, but they kind of, in their own rights, they broke records. And the 2 singers would be, like, The Weeknd and Bruno Mars. And obviously, because Bruno, at least in my opinion, Bruno don't miss. Like, Bruno got a discography that go from years. And it's, like, it's also funny to go from his music from saying, like, I catch a grenade from you to, like, he's smoking out the window. Just the creativity and just the growth Bruno Mars had, and the fact that he never gets old. Like, all of his music feels fresh. And then with The Weeknd, his voice, he's the closest voice I've heard to, like, the high-pitched, but still keeping that tone of, like, singing and just hit after hit and being able to have that kind of, like, pull, for lack of better words, like the numbers that he and Bruno Mars put up. But speaking of numbers, the other 2 artists I can even think of that come close, they're not even singers. Like, I know Drake, when Drake do something, the whole, like, musical world has attention on Drake. Like, he can still put up 500,000 first week sales and streams out of this world. And then also Eminem is also an artist who's put up ridiculous numbers. Like, they've said, like, he's the most successful, at least monetary wise, most successful rapper ever. And it's huge when ever's by your name. And just even then, like, even each of those artists, no matter the numbers you could compare to Michael Jackson, it's Michael Jackson. Like, even with Prince, I don't even think Prince or, like, Elvis or, like, no matter, you can go as big as you can. Like, Michael Jackson was, like, that guy. Like, some people would say that Michael Jackson has songs that are, like, don't hit that well. There's actually, I remember telling you, you guys in the car, which you already remember what I'm about to say. But, there's a reviewer and a YouTuber by the name of Anthony Fantano. Shout out Anthony Fantano. And he said that his video was that Thriller, the album, isn't a 10 out of 10. And there was a specific song he picked. I forget the name of it, but it's the one where it's him and somebody else talking about like a girl they like or something.
The Girl Is Mine.
Yeah, I think it was that song where he said like that song was like kind of trash or like kind of weird. And yeah, I haven't listened to the album in full, so I don't have an opinion on it personally. But just even with like you pretty much you gotta reach to say like there's something that Michael Jackson didn't do well. Like even like Jada said from the Jackson 5, and then he had his own game. Like Michael Jackson's experience on the Wii. Everybody know about Michael Jackson's experience on the Wii.
Game, bro.
So
you was a cornball if you didn't, bro.
Like there are memories in my own family. I have an uncle who passed away. I think it's been a few years now, but like there's a video like him and my dad were dancing to the Michael Jackson experience, and it's just the energy that Michael Jackson had and brought with him, and in his music, you can feel it no matter what song you're listening to. And just in general, to answer my own question I asked Jada, just music, I don't know. Obviously not counting God, but I don't know where I'd be without music. Just because when I'm waking up in the morning, most of the days, not every day, but most of the day, like I'm listening to music. I'm listening to music to get through my day, or I'm listening to music to get me inspired about something, or to just take my mind off of something I'm dealing with. And I also sing, for people who don't know, where I've sung in varsity choir, and I do love to sing. And just having that energy around me, especially when it's like gospel music and like uplifting, just having music in my life and being able to listen to music has always just helped me move forward. And it's always confused me when people say like they don't listen to music. Like I've talked to people who say like they just don't listen to music at all, and that has always shocked me to think about like what drives you during the day. If it's not like religion or music, what drives you during the day? And I mentioned singing to kind of segue to one of the last things I want to ask you before I let you go. You mentioned people like Whitney Houston and Beyonce and in general. And if we're judging it as a vocalist, in your personal opinion, who would you feel is the greatest singer of all time? And who would you feel is a singer that's overrated?
The greatest singer of all time? Michael Jackson.
As a vocalist?
Absolutely.
Interesting. Why do you feel that way?
Because I feel like Michael Jackson, especially as a male, his range was impeccable. There were notes that, as a male, how you hitting that high? I'm a female and I can't even hit butterflies? Please. I have to take that song low. I can't sing in his register. Oh, no. See, I was going to try. Fail. Fail immediately. See, that right there? Like, I just feel like his music and the way that he sung and the way he really just got into his work was just inspiring. Like, it was impeccable. I haven't met... Well, I haven't... There's artists with, like, high work drives, but if you really watch, like, the Michael Jackson documentaries and read about his stories, he was one who took his music to heart, and you could tell that he did. So vocally, I'm a down that hill. Michael Jackson, vocalist, especially being a male and his range, if you listen... Okay, Invincible is a perfect album for this discussion, because you have Butterflies where it's really high, but then you got 2,000 Watts where it's really low, and it's like, how could one man go from here to here? In the same album. 3 minutes apart. Same album. 2 different songs. Like, what? And then it's the same way in all of his albums. He go really, really high. Do you hear a song? Is that Michael Jackson? Because when you hear him talk, it's really soft and light. You know, it's like this. And then you get 2,000 Watts where it's like really low. And you're like, who is this grown man talking to me right now? And it's him. Then you get to Butterflies, it's like, who is this woman? It's him. You know?
Yeah, when I heard deep voice Michael Jackson for the first time, I'm like, y'all, why y'all playing with me? Like, that's not Michael Jackson, bro. But you look, that's a Michael Jackson. And then, are there any singers who are, like, if I say the word overrated, is there anybody that comes to mind, like, as a vocalist or just in general as a singer?
Overrated? Do I want to say this one?
I was about to say, I'm going to say one that people will kill me. I don't even got an opinion on, but I've heard artists who they say is overrated as a singer and as a dancer, low key. But look, they go kill me. But again, before I say it, and I'm going to let her answer first, I don't have this, well, I kind of had this opinion, but I haven't listened to enough of their music to have an opinion on it fully.
People gonna kill me.
I want to see if we thinking of the same name. If we thinking of the same name, this truly goes show how similar we are.
Probably not, but overrated. Someone I find overrated is Beyonce.
I'm glad you said it first, bro. I'm glad you said it first, bro. Now listen, bro. When I ask people this, and when I even think of this, that's the answer I get. And again, me personally, have not listened to enough of her music to be like, okay, she's overrated as a singer, as a vocalist.
And it just don't do it for me. Like Beyonce, it just doesn't give what the people said she would. Not gonna say that she can't sing because the woman can sing, but as far as Beyonce, it doesn't scream that. It screams she's a really good singer. Like the hype around her is just for her. Like really like okay like.
Yeah, and again, I know people who love Beyonce.
That, you know?
Yeah, so...
And I know people who love Beyonce, too. My Jasmine loves Beyonce. My sister loves Beyonce. I say it all the time. She's like, you just not a fan. I'm not. And it's with that girl, my mama, because as soon as she said it, I was like, you my mama for real? Because she was like, yeah, I don't understand the hype with Beyonce. I don't get it. I don't either. Like, I'm not saying she sucks. Like, I'm not saying that. I've listened to plethora of Beyonce. Listened to almost all of her songs. She's a really good artist and a really, really good singer. But the swarm y'all give her as just an artist...
Swarm, beehive. That's why I be saying, get in the studio.
Like, the swarm y'all give her, I don't see why. Honestly. I'd rather give it to somebody else, but not her. Like, a lot of veteran female singers that's been in the game. Mary J. Blige, my girl. I can see y'all giving her that swarm because she been doing this. Her vocal range just deserved. Beyonce, though... Even her lyric game, like, it's all right. You know, some songs, you know, it got a nice little beat, you know, but it just don't do it for me. Like, I don't have any Beyonce in my music. Just
you gonna continue to down this here. I thought you was gonna stop.
I gotta get it out, man. I gotta get it out. Come for me if you want to, bro. I have examples to give, bro. But yeah,
You said you got examples. Hold on. No, I can't let that slide. You said you had examples. What you mean by that?
Not examples like specific songs, but just like I said, lyrics and stuff. Like, you know how people, when you say artist, they can like immediately think of a song? I gotta think of Beyonce's song, but it's like, wait, is that her song or is that a song she did with somebody else? That's why I remember it.
I see. I can't go that far only because Single Ladies, like that was a bop, bro. Or was that Destiny's Child or was that Beyonce?
It's
like,
Beyonce.
Okay,
but
so
when
yeah.
you say Beyonce, what do you say? Single Ladies. What else
That's
do you
the first
say
thing
when
that
you think
come
of
to me.
Beyonce?
Some people will say Lemonade, or is that the name of the album? That what happened with Jay-Z and her. Like, some people, like, for me personally, it would just stop at Single Ladies. But knowing, like, people who listen to Beyonce to be like, okay, Lemonade or Single Ladies.
Well, her and Jay-Z stuff, really good. But then again, it takes her being with somebody else. Like, her and Nicki Minaj, the songs they did together, really good. Her featuring somebody else, those would be, like, really, really good. Because, like, okay, both of y'all doing it together. But her by herself, it just doesn't do nothing for me.
Okay. Definitely understandable. And then I've heard that opinion in general. And then I haven't personally listened to enough of her discography. Maybe. But even what I have heard, it's like, I definitely can see that opinion. But with that being said, one of the last things I want to talk about before we let you out of here, which by the way, we were approaching 2.5 hours. I think we might have broke our record for the last episode. But...
No, the last one was close to 3, but
so,
you stopped it.
I got it. Yeah, and that's true. We could have, because Janae was texting me earlier, like, dang, y'all still going? I'm like, listen, you know how we get down, bro. Like, you know what it is when we interview. But one of the last things I want to give you your props before we let you go. I feel like when I watch, one of the podcasts I watch is Impulsive with Logan Paul, and it's not a very popular name, but he did improve. Trust me, even though he still be, but he's improved. And one of the things he does in his intro, especially you have guests, he say like the list of like things they accomplished. And if I literally do that for you, like podcast coordinator for All Shades of Chocolate, New York Times internship, correct? New York mentorship, and then the internship you have with the
environmental journalism program,
like diversity rep for the state news, senior copy editor, right?
Yeah.
Like, the list can keep going, and I just want you to give yourself a pat on the back and talk about the things you have, and not to mention writer for the state news. You have a lot of stories that you've wrote out that you're planning on writing more very soon, actually. And I just want you to give yourself a pat on the back and talk about the things that you have coming up, the opportunities you have. Give a shout out to All Shades of Chocolate, like whatever you feel you should give a spotlight towards. And I'm asking you, don't be humble. For these next, I have it on you talk about. Don't be humble.
Gosh, bro. Yeah, shout out All Shades of Chocolate. I really love the engagement we're getting from All Shades of Chocolate. I really like how well it's going over for people. And I really like how many people like reach out and be like, oh, I listened to this episode. It was great. I really like what you said. Thank you for saying this. I feel like it's not talked about enough. So thank you guys if you're listening to All Shades of Chocolate. Please continue to listen. I appreciate that. Yeah, like Anthony said, I guess I can't be humble. Yeah, with all my accomplishments, they're all just leading to the biggest goal that I always say if you ask me, what do you want to do with journalism? I want to work for National Geographic. And I just don't want to work for them. I want to lead their staff at National Geographic. I want to work in their newsroom. I want to work with their photographers who photograph all the pretty animals, and you see the nice, beautifully written descriptions. I want to write for them. I want to travel with the photographer that works for them and see those beautiful sceneries that you couldn't see unless you worked for them. It's a dream of mine that I've wanted to do since I was like 11, watching the National Geographic channel with my mom, because she's really into like nature documentaries and all that stuff. So we always used to watch those, and I'm like, I'm gonna work for them, you know. So I'm doing all this to build up my experience so that I can work for them. And their station is in Washington, so if I do, that means I'll be moving there. But it's like, yes, I'm gonna finally work for my dream organization. And yeah, so in the meantime, I'm gonna have some stories coming out. You know, guys, tune into thestatenews.com and search up my name. You'll see me and you'll see all the stories I've written. And yeah, I really like writing, and I'm really glad that I have multiple opportunities to continue to write, because it's all that I like to do. And I'm glad that I'm being able to write about my community, to uplift the students that are here at MSU that feel sheltered or that feel looked down upon just because they don't look the same as the majority.
Definitely great to hear. And again, she still was humble. She didn't even go into all the aspects of everything.
What you want me to say, bro?
Listen, just keep talking about yourself. Even though, no, I'm not going to mess with you. That was great to talk about, and just hearing that and being your friend. Like, it's so cool being your friend. Just because seeing the things you can accomplish and seeing the things that you are accomplishing and you're going to continue to accomplish is really cool. And I checked the stats of our last episode. Our last episode didn't even reach 2 hours. It was an hour and 57 minutes. So we definitely broke our record for the last episode. And just, I want to tell you one, thank you just for giving me the time that you give me to talk about the things that we talk about. Like I tell all my guests now, like I always tell all my guests, in this moment, it's about you. That's why the title of every interview I do is Tell Me What's on Your Mind. Because I want to ask you these questions and I want to pick your brain and just see what you're thinking about and why do the things that you believe in, why are you strong on those beliefs? Or what makes you you? What makes Jada Vasser Jada Vasser? So having these conversations, I always love them. And one more thing I could think of, and I'll ask you if you think of anything else, because we can go for hours. Like, we literally have had moments where we up till 6 a.m. just talking.
Oh my gosh, I remember that. Janae was so mad at us.
And listen, we'll do it again, bro. We go do it again once we get in the apartments, especially. Absolutely. If not before then. So I'll ask you after this last thing if you have any more things to talk about. But anime is a big part of my life and Jada's life as well. And there's gonna be a convention that we plan on going to in July. Most people may know it. It's DreamCon, hosted by RDC World. And I've spoken about this to people in general. I also was speaking to Imani about this earlier and the other day. But the fact that I'm going to experience something like that with you and Janae, like, it means the world to me. And like, it's still, I was telling my parents about this, that it still doesn't feel real yet, because I can't compare this to anything, because I've never done anything like this. So I can't compare this and be like, oh, yeah, this is going to be as exciting, if not more exciting than this. Especially to my memory, I've never been out of Michigan. And when people always hear that, they be like, what? And I always tell them, like, yeah, why you think I don't like being in Michigan? Because I don't have no memory of not being here. And just whole nother reason, that's a whole nother conversation. But just one in general, how are you feeling about DreamCon before we get there? It's going to be late July. And in general, how'd you get into anime? What does anime mean to you? Or do you have any favorite anime shows or movies you want to watch? Just talk about that after the DreamCon thing.
Yeah, so we're going to be going to DreamCon. And I'm super excited because the YouTubers that I watch, RDC World and Easy Gang with Berleezy and JoJo and Krista and PG and Joe and Rico and Dante are all going to be there. And I'm super excited because I watched literally all of them all day. Like, it's a few more YouTubers that I watch. And I know that I watch them a lot because my mom would come in my room and be like, can you please turn off the man that's screaming on your TV all night, Jada? That's all I hear. And it would probably be Berleezy screaming at a horror game, or Poise, or Corey, who's reading something sus, and he's like, hey, yo! Or Dashy screaming at Super Mario Maker because he keeps dying. But I love all of those people, and I watch them, like, all day. So the fact that I'm going to be able to meet some of them, like, in person, like, I'm going to see Berlin's 6-foot tall self, taller than 6 foot, and Rico the giant self in person is literally going to be fantastic. And I'm just going to, like, Stevie, Janae, Anthony, and I, we all gonna get like the VIP everything. Because if I go to something, I'm getting decked out. Like, I'm not gonna miss out on nothing. I'm not gonna be the person that's like, dang, I should have just dropped the extra bread. No, we drop it everything just so we can have everything, so we can leave and be like, dang, we cannot wait for 2024. Like, I want this to be a memorable experience because, one, I've never been to Texas and I've never been to a DreamCon, but I've been wanting to go since they had the 2021 DreamCon right after COVID. And I was like, and just seeing like the little clips people gave, I was like, no, where's the full videos? But of course, when you in like private panels, you can't really record like that. But I was like, wow, just to be in like the crowd, just hearing that info. They probably got like all the inside scoop of when Some Bros was made and all of like the videos that are about to be published and stuff like that. And I'm like, wow, just to be in there, to hear like your like favorite creators on stage giving you tips, and like especially to see like where they came from, specifically more talking about like Berlizzi and Corey. Like, I've been watching them since Corey like graduated from U of M. We still love you though, but okay. And then Berlin, when he was living in his mom's garage. Like, I've been watching them since then. And to see where they are now, Berlin living in Texas, moving again into a bigger and better house, having the Some Bros Easy Gang like name under him, it's just really, really like inspiring to see that, yeah, he came from just doing something he loved and it blew up. Same thing with me. I'm doing something I love and I'm seeing how it's blowing up to better my future just like they did. So it's just all really inspiring. Corey, come to the DreamCon, man. You keep teasing that you come into the DreamCon talking about something. I never go to a convention. Or do I? Come on, just say you're going to be the guest. Just say you're the guest, bro. But yeah, it's going to be amazing. We're going to have a blast.
And in general, just how'd you get into anime, watching anime, and does it have any impact to you as far as like watching it or favorite characters? I know we've talked about Kuro Sensei from Assassination Classroom, and just in general,
that's my guy, bro.
In general, when someone says, if someone asks you what does anime mean to you, what would be the answer?
I'm not gonna hold y'all. I was an anime hater when I was younger.
That's breaking news. I didn't know that. That just hurt my feelings a little bit.
I was when I was younger. I was like, why is y'all watching this? It's dumb. But it took Janae, again, my sister. She's into all of this, creativeness. As you can see, I'm the more logical twin. She's the more creative. Look at these people having magic on TV. Watch them, and I'm like, that's dumb. Watch these people solve a math problem. That's logic. She's the more so that twin. So she got me into, all of the anime, and the anime she used to watch. She would make me watch them with her. I didn't have a choice. And I'd be like, that's kind of interesting. It's kind of cool. Then my boyfriend, huge anime fan, very huge, like Dragon Ball Z fan like that, and he like makes me sit there and listen to the videos he watches, and I'm like, I don't know who that is, but he's like, you're gonna learn today. And all the little anime games he plays on his phone, literally I don't even know what's the name of the game. What's the game?
Dokkan Battle, yeah, Dragon Ball Z.
He has one game on his phone, and it's that game, and he plays that game religiously. One game that takes up all his screen time. I'm like, what are you doing?
Dang, I'm the same way, especially with my new phone. All the Dokkan Battle, only game on here.
He only plays that one game, and I mean, he plays it religiously. That one game, I'd be like, bro, can you get off the phone? I put the phone down. It's the game. I'm like, cancel the game. But yeah, so they definitely, and then now Anthony being another huge anime fan, they definitely like keep broadening my horizon. I'm like, okay, anime kind of cool. It's cool. Favorite anime? Takes the K, like you, my guy Koro Sensei, Assassination Classroom. When I have to watch something, I can't, like, the animes that are more so like, I guess kind of like what I described me, logical and more like businessy, I don't really get interested in. But Koro Sensei and Assassination Classroom, you're telling me the first episode is this 8-foot tall yellow octopus, and he's over here talking about some greeting students, you have to kill me or I'm gonna blow up the world. What? And the kids are like, and they just give him guns, and they're like this, like, that's interesting to me. And then the whole time they're shooting him, and he's just teaching like geography or math, and he's like, "You gotta ace your studies, children, or you won't go in high school." It's like, what? You're dodging bullets, moving at Mach 20, and these kids are trying to assassinate you. And then you learn the story all the way up into the end, and it's like, oh, this was such a good show. And now. But even to say that, I do love some really like sci-fi suspenseful animes. What was Erased? Now
I've heard a lot of good things about Erased.
I first watched with Janae, and that was close to when it came out, and she was binging it, and I watched like the second to last episode. I was like, wait, this is really good. She was like, you need to watch it from the beginning. So I recently like really rewatched it, and it's very good. So that's a really good like suspenseful anime as far as like a suspenseful storyline with like an antagonist and like a hero and things like that. But then we get into the more like, I guess, anime fighting culture style, where Anthony introduced me to Jujutsu Kaisen with my boyfriend Gojo. Now that anime is really good. I'm now like getting introduced to all the characters he talked about and likes, and now I'm putting like names to the faces, and I'm like, oh my god, this is a really good anime. And I thank you for introducing it to me before the second season comes out, so now when it comes out, I'm more prepared and I know who I'm talking about now. Then it's like, oh my gosh, but then to learn they're gonna put my boyfriend in a box is crazy. After I just fall in love with him, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm not one who spoils animes, but like especially for like the character Gojo, like the fact that he's so strong, and again, we're not even halfway through the show. So the fact that they show how powerful he is, and then like, yeah, he's gonna get put in a box. That's how, like, this is how overpowered he is. Like that, it just, Jujutsu Kaisen is amazing. I was talking about, again, with Imani, she was saying her boyfriend that's his favorite anime, and I was like, oh my god, Jujutsu Kaisen is amazing. Like, I got a wallet, a bag, like Jujutsu Kaisen is really cool. And just like you were saying, like a character of like Koro Sensei, where he's just like an 8-foot octopus saying like, oh, I'm gonna blow up the world if y'all don't kill me. Like the fact that in Jujutsu Kaisen you got many great characters, like especially Gojo's amazing. The main I'm a fan of the main antagonist. I keep telling her she got to see Toto because she just like her boyfriend who likes tall, thick women, who literally says like, yeah, Jennifer Lawrence is my type. He says in an anime out of all shows. But when you out of all that, when you have a character who's a literal panda, a talking panda, and a character who can only talk in Japanese food ingredients, it's like, that is like, oh my god, that is amazing. Like, literally, Jada was asking me, like, when he speaks in these, because the character I'm referencing is Inumaki from Jujutsu Kaisen, and most of the time he's more serious, like bonito flakes, like salmon. Like, he literally just how he sounds, and she asked me, like, what happens when he's excited? And I don't know if you heard her in the background, he was just saying, tuna, 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 and pointing. And it's just, these are the things that make anime incredible, and just Japanese culture. Again, I can go on about that for hours. And I know you were like listing animes, and you say you watch like Attack on Titan too, like incredible. I gotta get Janae into that one too.
Getting into like when I introduce it, I want to make sure I watch like the animes you should watch coming to me, like Attack on Titan, My Hero Academia, Death Note.
Death Note, oh my god!
I definitely made sure to Black Butler. I really like Black Butler.
I haven't watched that one yet.
That's really good. I watched that when I was a little younger. I definitely watched those that are like the base that you should watch coming into the community. So I was like, okay, I'm not dumb. Like, I got this, bro.
I'm surprised Attack on Titan was one of your first, because that's a really long anime, and it's a lot to like grasp.
Yeah,
so
I definitely broke it up when I watched it, because I was like, but yes, long anime, you couldn't pay me to watch One Piece. I wait for somebody to come out with an essay. You couldn't pay me. My boyfriend's watching One Piece, and he just got an update. He's on episode 683.
That is crazy. And I've tried to get into One Piece, and again, I used to be a One Piece hater, like that junk is garbage. I give people the benefit of the doubt now that it's really good. Like I started reading it because 1,000 episodes, I don't know how people do it. And like what I've read so far, it's really good. Like it's worth, I can see how people can get into this for like 1,000 chapters or 1,000 episodes. But 1,000, like let's not underestimate the amount of 1,000. And especially because binge watching for me is very hard, because I can't stand still. I can't sit in those area for hours and hours, watch the same thing for hours and not get distracted. My mind just can't do it. So more power to people who can watch 1,000 episodes or read 1,000 chapters. It is really good. I'm no longer a hater, but I don't know when I'm gonna ever get to it. And there was a discussion on Twitter saying like what anime, like if you're recommending anime to somebody who hasn't watched anime before, what would you recommend? I would please stay away from One Piece, even Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, et cetera, because they're so long. Like the only reason I am a Dragon Ball Z fan is because I've watched it since I've been growing up. I'm about to be 20. I've been watching Dragon Ball Z since I was 9, 8. Yeah. So I can't suggest that to somebody and be like, yeah, just sit through all of these sagas, all these episodes, movies that's not even canon, but they low-key cool, and watch it in like a day or like a month or like a few months. Now, some people can. I've heard people, I met this guy during freshman year of winter break. He said he watched the entirety of One Piece twice during winter break. Like, I don't understand how, and winter break was 2 weeks. It was a nice little time, 2 or 3 weeks. That means you had to watch that every day for hours, sunrise to sundown. For you to do it twice? Or I think he said he watched it in its entirety once and then had to stop himself. That's what he said. He said he had to literally stop himself from finishing it a second time. My mind cannot comprehend. More power to that person. And again, The anime, like One Piece is really good from what I've read. Dragon Ball Z, I love Dragon Ball Z with all of my heart. Naruto, from what I've seen, is really good. I would not recommend this to somebody like my girlfriend, like Janae, who hasn't gotten to those type of animes. At least not the first anime, because you got to build towards watching a longevity of shows before you even get to the 1,000. Like 100, like I've watched Black Clover's anime, and that's like almost 200 episodes. And it's really good. I love Black Clover, but like 200 episodes, like everybody, like that took me a while to finish. And like My Hero Academia is weird because, ironically enough, that was not kind of like Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, Bakugan, etc., Yu-Gi-Oh! That was the first anime I watched that got me into watching anime consistently. And that was during a time where like my depression was hitting like a lot. So I just sat and watched My Hero Academia all the way through for like the first 3 or 4 seasons. But like even then, that's a lot of content to watch. Yeah. And then just especially reading anime too, like you got to have time to sit down and put time and invest into these things. And like when you're a full-time college student with 1 or 2 jobs, it's not that easy. Like you got to put something to the side to watch anime. And sometimes you just got to do that to have that relax from your mind. But other times you got things to do. So it's really hard. But anime in general, I've talked about it multiple times. I'll probably continue talking about it multiple times on this podcast. I really love anime, and it's been a huge part of my life. I wrote essays about anime. I can go about this for hours. But speaking of hours, with that being said, we have now reached 2.5 hours. You trying to approach Shay and Anna's episode of like 3, or well, they almost had 4. So like
because no way you let them hit 4 and then you cut me off. I just feel like it's disrespect, it's racism, and it's disrespect.
I don't even know how we got, like we recorded so much, and I ironically think our episodes got to do this too. We recorded so much to where I had to split it into 2 episodes, and like that. I don't know how we pulled that off, but that conversation, I would always recommend that episode to, like, if somebody were to view my podcast or like my interviewing skills, I would always recommend that episode first, and then like our episode, and now our 2 episodes we have. Like, I'm so proud of the interviews I've done, especially that one. 4 hours of content. And this is, again, you say like with our first episode, like I stopped you, and I did because we was talking, or at least I thought an hour and 50 minutes was a lot. But in that episode with Anna and Shay, like we stopped multiple times. Like they had to take phone calls, had to use the bathroom. So like we could have legit I believe we could have got 5 hours, or we could have at least got to the actual 4. Like we stopped at like 3:30 or like 3:40 around that. We could have got to 4. We could get to 4. If we really just like, we sat the phone down and just recorded, we could get to 4. But with that being said, do you have anything else to add that you can think of right now? Because again, we probably go turn the camera off and keep talking anyway, or like go to bed or something. Like our dreams would be like, remember this dream we just had? Hit record, be like, boop, not even go, just boop.
No, just as far as anime, I feel like if you like a beginner like I was, because I still don't even consider myself like an anime vet, just because I haven't just like been in it as long, or just really haven't been like watching it as long. And I don't even watch anime frequently like that. Like as far as anime, I really like to watch one at a time. Like I've been watching Jujutsu Kaisen with you, just because sometimes anime is a lot and the storylines are really big, so you can't watch like this and then try to watch like Assassination Classroom or Black Butler, because then you'll get confused, because it's like, why are there 2 people yelling, and what are they yelling about? But very important subjects, but they both have nothing to do with each other. So yeah, I definitely suggest if you pick one, watch it all the way through. That'll figure out what kind of anime you do and don't like, and it'll help you find like the next one you want to watch and stuff like that. Because like I said, I found that I like the anime that when you look at it, it don't make sense, but you figure out the storyline along the way, versus it looks like it makes sense and then it's actually crazy. Stuff like that. And I feel like Janae likes the suspenseful anime, because Erased and things like that is kind of the stuff she watches like all the time, or she really used to, especially during COVID, like the pandemic. That's when she really used to watch like anime, really, and that's when I was really like, no, that was my biggest hater era. My bad, y'all. I wasn't educated. I take that one. That's on me. All right, but as soon as and funny story about how I got introduced to Assassination Classroom, it was Stevie, because Stevie had rewatched it, and we went to Barnes and Nobles, and you know manga, how you have the manga section in the store. Mm-hmm. We had went back there, and the book fell, and I was like, why is it a smiley face on the book? He was like, oh, that's Koro Sensei. I said, what the hell is a Koro Sensei? He was like, that's Koro Sensei. I was like, that guy's huge, and he looks like an octopus. He was like, yeah, and he's also yellow. I was like, what you mean? Because manga is in black and white. I was like, well, he's black. He was like, well, if you look at the anime, he's yellow. So he searched up the picture and he did this. He was like, this is Koro Sensei. I was like, who is that? He was like, that's Assassination Class from the anime. That's one of the main characters. I was like, you've seen it? He was like, yeah, I've seen it. I was like, how can I watch it? He's like, you look it up on YouTube, I guess. So after that, me and Janae just binged Assassination Classroom with him on the phone, asking him questions like, why does he do this? How fast does he really go? That's where I learned the phrase Mach 20 and how fast he moves and stuff. And ever since the first episode, I was just like hooked. And that is top tier anime right there, my favorite one. And I also feel like it's one people don't talk about a lot. Like the crazier animes, I guess, or the animes where it's not more so just like fighting. Like I consider like Jujutsu Kaisen more so like fighting skills and battles and stuff like that. But I wouldn't really consider Assassination Classroom that. I consider Assassination Classroom like comedy. Like the comedy or animes. Because Kodo Sensei was a nut, bro. Like that dude was funny. And they didn't really focus on fighting unless they were fighting him. And most of the times that was funny because you couldn't fight him. He was too strong and he was too fast. Versus Jujutsu Kaisen, you watch that to Jujutsu Sorcerer, the school is all about fighting. It's all about training and being the strongest you can to fight. What's they called? The monsters. What's they doing? Is they just called monsters?
Demons.
Demons. Yeah. Demons. Demons. That one demon in the building that got sliced up by Sukuna. Crazy, man. But that's like the root of the show is battling. So I feel like, especially anime culture, those shows kind of get the most rep because that's what people expect out of anime. Versus when you go into anime that's funny, like Assassination Classroom, and it's still fighting, but it's more so emotional. It's more so this character got transformed to be this, and then they're gonna die, but it's comedic relief along the way, basically.
Yeah, and one of the best things about anime is that it's so multifaceted. Like there's many different avenues you can get, and one of the best pieces of anime I've ever watched, and I want to show you and Janae, is a movie called A Silent Voice. I talk so high about this movie because one, it's really sad. Like it's not like happy. It's a very deep story and it's very sad. And does it have a happy end? It does kind of. It has an ending. It's not happy or sad, it's just an ending. And it's really such a powerful movie because it tackles so many things, and just you can go from something like A Silent Voice to somebody who's talking about Jennifer Lawrence as they type. It's just, you can go many different avenues of anime. And there was a time, especially when I was younger, I didn't know that other types of anime exist. Like, especially growing up on Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, and Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like, okay, it all is the action and fighting and monsters. But when you can get into psychological anime like Death Note, who, even as a Dragon Ball Z fan, I tend not to compare other anime to Dragon Ball Z because it's like, I'm always going to have a love for Dragon Ball Z. But the first half of Death Note, I've said personally, is the best piece of anime I've ever watched in my life. And
really good.
And I say the first half because once a certain character dies, I'm not gonna spoil it. Once a certain character dies, that show ended for me. I don't know what they did after that. That's a whole different show. Yes, I to this day I refuse. I refuse to watch it. I know what happens, but no. You mean tell me? But matter of fact, spoilers actually. You mean tell me they're gonna copy the Death Note? And Yagami, who's just been this smart character throughout the whole show, who defeated L, who L literally dies. And now it's just, somebody copied the Death Note and that's how he died. Like, you're not serious. Like, the fact with L, I felt it was so perfect the first half with how L, especially with when L died, because you have the symbolism, especially the biblical symbolism of, like, L massaging, like, Light's feet, and then, like, L knowing that he was going to get betrayed, and it kind of like gave like Jesus Christ vibes, like knowing that was it Paul who betrayed Jesus, or like say like he didn't know Jesus. I think it was Paul. Correct me if I'm wrong, whoever out there listening to this. But just having that symbolism of like L knowing he was going to die and he actually died, like it was so perfect. And then you turn around and say, somebody copied the Death Note. Like irks me so bad. And then like Death Note and then Attack on Titan too. I'm someone who likes how a lot of people compare Attack on Titan to Game of Thrones, whereas it's fantastic until the end. I personally like the end of Attack on Titan because I know how it ends from the manga aspect. And then the anime, I'm very interested to see if they're going to take the anime in a different direction because so many people didn't like the ending in the manga. But for what they have so far, that's also been incredible. The fact that you can watch something in season 1 of Attack on Titan and you get to season 4 and something all the way from season 1 ties perfectly in. I love that. Like, Dragon Ball Z is always going to have a special place in my heart. But when my mind can work and actually stay focused, and something from season 1, like, it comes all the way back and they show you Easter eggs that you saw, but you didn't click and see, like, oh, that's going to come back later. That's always, like, Death Note and Attack on Titan is always going to be my 1 and 2 when I compare to, like, best. But, like, greatest anime, you could show me a million types of Death Notes at Attack on Titan. And just Dragon Ball Z is always going to have that special place in my heart. But with that being said, I really appreciate the time you gave me, Jada. I know we at 2:42 right now. We still going. And again, listen, I can put the phone on. We just hit record. We just keep it recording. We keep going, bro. But especially since I've been holding my PN for the past like almost 3 hours. If you want to end, we can. But I will keep going because I love the game. I love the hustle. But no, it's always up to my guests and it's up to you. So do you have anything else you want to share?
I'm trying to think. As of right now, no. I always need a question to be prompted to like talk more and stuff. But as of right now, off the top of my head, no, I can't think of that.
Definitely understandable. Real quick, very random question I guess I can add looking at your shirt. So obviously y'all can't see it, but she has on a 4-leaf clover shirt, and it's St. Patty's Day that just passed this weekend. And I want to ask, how do you make time to do something other than schoolwork or work on college? And what is the importance of making sure you balance always doing work and making sure you have fun?
I feel like it's really important to still balance because I'm not a robot. So I can't be expected to a human can't be expected to just do solely one thing all the time. It's not how our brain was programmed to work. It's not how we operate. And then especially for me, I love like hanging with friends. I love hanging with, people I consider friends. I love like going out to eat and just talking like this and, just hanging out, playing games. Like I'm a gamer. I love playing games with people and things like that. So if I didn't do that, that's kind of what recharges me to do my schooling. And it's kind of give me something to look forward to. Like this week, I've just been like note taking and studying for an exam. But I know I'm getting a chance to go home this weekend and see my niece and nephew. So that's kind of like my social interaction that I'll balance to help me recharge for when I come back. And then I know when I'm back, it'll be a few more weeks to my birthday. So that'll be another recharge. Just looking for interactions like that to be like a break, so to speak. Even though if it's not a full break, even if it's just like a night to where I don't have to think about an assignment or anything and my mind's like on something else, like with friends or anything, then it definitely helps me recharge. Like the St. Patty's weekend, I just stayed with my friends and we played Mario Kart and was yelling about random stuff, but it was funny because I got to be able to recharge and not think about what I had to do from on Monday or what a teacher was expecting of me. It was just fun to just be a college kid, like really be a college kid, like they say in the books, like college parties and stuff like that. It was just really fun to just be a college kid and not worry about the other side of being not being a college student, but being a college kid. So yeah.
Definitely important to make sure you get that balance because that's something especially hello, somebody outside the door again. That's something I low-key still, but especially my first year struggle with is just having that balance because I'm not someone who parties or drinks or smokes. And so the alternative to schoolwork is very limited, but I've been able to get more balanced versions of it and just having that balance the longer I've been a college student. But even still, it's a bit hard because, again, I'm not into doing all that type of stuff. Like, my version of fun is different than even, like, Jada. Like, even when we have fun, like, this is more like talking in 3 hours about a podcast, and then eventually if we still watch some of Jujutsu Kaisen tonight, like, that's my bit of recharge, smaller version of recharge. But, like, going out, it has to be a specific event or it has to be a specific people going. It's just, I don't know, I'm wishy-washy. I'm like low-key a homebody. But
yeah, no, low-key, I definitely agree with you because even with the St. Patty's week, it depends on who I'm with because I wouldn't consider myself like a party person. Like, oh, we about to go to a frat or, oh, we about to go to a sorority house or fraternity house. Like, I would never do that. You wouldn't catch me $5 never doing that. But I also don't feel like when I become like legal, I'll be the type of person like, oh, let's go to the bar. Like, I know I'll go, but it'll depend on like my mood, and it'll really be like, oh, if somebody's birthday, like, okay, I'll meet you there, things like that. Like, I definitely account like I said, my kind of fun, like playing video games. Like, that's my fun. Like, drinking and smoking doesn't always have to be involved to have fun. Like, people who solely need it to have fun, you have a problem. And we need to address the issue so you can get it fixed. Like, you don't need those things to have fun. And it always irks me when people say that, because it's like, bro, you're just boring if you need something else to have fun. Like, we can have fun just sitting here talking and getting to know each other. Like, we can have fun playing a card game or playing board games or stuff that you think might be childish. It's really fun. Like, the group of friends that I have, every time we hang out, it's not necessarily drinks involved. Like, we're 9 times out of 10 sober and we're just laughing like we're drunk. But that's just our energy. That's our vibe. When we're around each other, we get silly and we get to cracking jokes about anything and everything and just riding around and doing something stupid. But we're completely sober. But it's like we're drunk because we're that silly. And that's my vision of fun, where you just have fun, but you don't always need a substance to help you have fun. You just a boring person. You just boring.
Yeah.
And me personally, I hear that I'm pretty funny. So
Hilarious.
When I hang with my friends, it's always gonna be jokey jokes. So we always gonna have fun. And yeah, I wouldn't consider myself, which is ironic coming to Michigan State. When most people hear that, you be like, oh, party school, which, yes, it's a party school.
Didn't know that, by the way.
I'm surprised you didn't. Well, I knew my sister went here and graduated from her. She was like, yeah, it's a party school. I was like, oh, okay. She didn't lie. It's a party school here. Like, definitely party. And it's really hard, like Anthony said, to separate yourself from party, because that's all everybody wants to do, is just go to a party. Mm-hmm. Black, white, they just want to go to a party, which is cool every once in a while, but I be tired. I be sleepy. I be want to lay down. Like, you're not about to text me, Jada, get up. It depends on who you are, and I'll be like, okay. Even I'm like, I'm asleep. Good night. You know, like,
I'll catch you tomorrow. Though.
Right. I'll see you in class. Like, I'm going to bed. Like, okay. So, yeah.
All right, before we get out of here, shout out something. Shout out your social media story that you about to come up. Shout out something.
I'm not an influencer, bro.
Listen, you're gonna be famous and your name's gonna be known worldwide. Bro, so okay. You gotta give you a shout out, bro.
Shout out. Okay, I'm gonna shout out my Instagram. Follow me at, well, which one? I'm shout out both.
Shout out both.
Follow me at PhotoJ101 and then shout out
personal.
Personal. Then follow me at JV Productions
business.
_11, which is my business. This is where I post all of my journalism updates and my stories, and I'm in the process of creating a portfolio and a website so that I can keep all of my stories in one place, because I've been trying to find them and stuff. I'm like, where are my stories? Because they're all in my drive and stuff, which is full of work. So yeah, follow me on there is where you'll get the most updates about me. And yeah, y'all see y'all on the flip side, bro.
And with that being said, I am really grateful for the people who tune in to my episodes, especially with this new season and this being my first interview of the new season, and just switching some things around my intro and just revealing my logo that Steven did. Shout out to him again for making the logo. At the time of this recording, I actually ironically have not posted about it yet, but eventually, when I get all my episodes, I want to post for the new season. I'm going to announce like, hey, he did my logo. Hey, this is blah, blah. But I want to shout out All Shades of Chocolate before I end this episode. We are 2 hosts of All Shades of Chocolate. That is the all black podcast from the State News. And anyone who tunes into that as well as my own content, I really am grateful for it. And Jada and Shakira, shout out Shakira, really great host, really seasoned host, very good speakers. And they also have helped to give me the opportunity for working at the State News, that I also make a podcast episode about this, just my experience at the State News and my story of how I've gotten there. And yeah, to all the people that have listened this far, especially because we almost reaching 3 hours, again, I really appreciate you. You hear the claps from Jada in the background. And I'll see y'all later. Bye.
Stay sweet, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.